There's one thing you can't say.
Hail Satan?
No, that's fine. We don't care about that.
Oh, okay.
It's the N-word. You can't say that.
Oh, yeah. I'm cool with that. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't do that.
Don't want to get the show started off the wrong way.
Yeah. Me, a white guy coming on just like, no.
Now, but if we don't post video,
You can hear it. Dude, you can hear it in my name. Corbett Jansen Hoxworth. That is the whitest ass name you will ever hear in your life, man.
This is the Always More podcast.
Hello, it is November 27th, and welcome to the Always More podcast, where we believe there is always more room at the table for honest questions, meaningful conversations, and deeper understanding. Today on the pod, we are talking about forensic psychologists on TV, selling your senses, late night shenanigans, cheaters and roses, Christian nationalism and the Deconstruction movement, and so much more. But first, I am your host, the Virgo planning and university extraordinaire, Tim Lichty, and sitting next to me is my best friend in the whole entire world and zombie apocalypse survival expert, Christopher Thomas Ford.
What up, what up?
And we have the guy who puts the sin in Wisconsin and long haul trucker, Justin Johnson.
you.
And joining us is special guest, the man whose wardrobe I've secretly been jealous of for years, and all-around great guy, Corbett Hoxworth.
What's up, y'all?
I'm just gonna say out loud right now, it has not been a secret. Like every time Corbett posts something on Instagram, Tim's like, "Have you seen this? It looks so cool.
Is that a secret to
I want
you?
to dress like this."
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's like he wants to dress like you. He wants your apartment. Like,
Just,
Dude,
just the whole thing.
Just get your ass up
If
here.
we're being
and
honest,
just
though, Corbett's a
get
vibe,
in.
so like it makes
Aw.
Get the
sense.
vibe.
It makes sense.
You guys, too kind.
where are you? Are you in Texas?
Hell no, man. I'm in Seattle.
Oh.
My wife and I moved in 2020. Yeah, so we're up in Seattle now. Ballard, Seattle.
Okay.
How's she doing, by the way?
She's doing really, really well. She's the best person I know. She inspires me to just, dude, she's amazing. She's the best.
Those are the
she's doing
answers we're
well.
looking for.
Yeah, good answers.
Yeah.
You passed.
Wait. I'm sorry. Rewind. Youth pastor version. My smoking hot wife.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, sorry. No, she is smoking hot, but she's awesome. She's doing great. She's kicking ass, taking names, just boss ass bitch. I love her.
Came here to
She's
chew
not a bitch.
gum and kick some ass, and she's all out of
I'm
gum.
all out of bubble gum. Exactly.
So wait, were you ever like a youth pastor or just?
No.
Okay.
Justin, you're
we'll
diving
get into it.
quick.
We'll get into it. I was never a youth
Hey,
pastor, but
we're just meeting for the first time. I don't have all the backstory.
yeah. When we will we'll get into all of that.
Well, what we
Yeah.
can say is the three of us have known each other for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a story. Can I bring up a story?
Please.
Because I don't think
Absolutely.
your listeners know this, that Tim and I are actually track stars. Yeah, he knows. Yeah. No,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Well, I'm just saying placed. First
Yeah,
and
yeah.
second place. So let me take you back. It gotta be what? September 2004, maybe?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. 2004, 2005. Track meet, 7th grade, Liberty Hill. We're on the bus. I need to get pumped. Tim introduces me to obviously Switchfoot on the bus. Very
It's the
on
only
brand.
band he knew at that point.
It's the only band he knows today. Okay. No, so we show up and long jump. It's time for the long jump. And we got first and second place, literally.
Yeah.
We also were the only 2 people that competed. That's the caveat behind that little story. But yeah, man.
It's the only ribbon I ever got in middle school.
Yeah, it was a
Wow.
ribbon. They gave us a ribbon. They're like,
Yeah.
Not
good
even
job,
a trophy.
guys. Yeah.
Glorified
It was literally
paper.
No, it was like I had a nice. I think my field day at Cedar Valley Elementary School was a nicer ribbon than this one. So, yeah, 5th
He
grade.
still has it to this day.
Shout out, yeah.
It's tucked away in my drawer.
You know how it goes.
Well, hey, guys, welcome, everyone. Corbett, we're happy to have you with us. We're really stoked for this episode. We got a lot of fun things and deep things to talk about,
As we're wont to do.
as we've been wanting to do for many moons. But, hey, first off, before we move this show along, we are releasing this on the 27th, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone. This year's going to be fun.
Maybe if you're listening to this, you should play it around your conservative family members on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It could be a blast.
Crazy
Just
uncles.
turn the volume all the way up and play it in the kitchen while you're making whatever you're making.
Yeah.
Start a fight.
Nice.
I am doing Thanksgiving with my sister and her husband and kids. So no fights to be had.
Ooh.
Lucky.
That's not true. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. I mean, but no fights like that.
But not about
it's a
politics or religion.
Fundamental human rights.
Maybe one of them he's learning. He's learning. But
We're getting there. We're getting
Having a
Teenagers, man.
Friendsgiving. It's gonna be fun. Gonna have a bunch of friends up on the roof eating turkey and whatnot. That'll be fun.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be good times.
times.
But yeah, we'll probably not argue because we all kind of share the same worldview. It's gonna be actually really peaceful,
It's going to be lovely.
as it should be. Yeah, it's gonna be an actual Thanksgiving. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, my mom asked me if I was gonna come down, and I was like, oh,
No, I'm not going to do that.
yeah. Yeah. Which I don't know. We haven't talked about my mom on the podcast, have we?
No.
We can definitely share that
Okay.
later, Bubby.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that today, but overall that's gonna be a whole other episode.
Oh, you want to talk about mothers?
Mamas.
Oh no. Mom and dad. It touches in with the religious stuff. But
Yeah.
Doesn't
There's
it
more.
always?
Doesn't it all?
All right.
Most things do.
All right, guys, let's move this show along. We're going to start off our show with the known and the familiar. It's a time for a little Rec and Rev. This is the part of the show where we like to recommend and review whatever we saw, read, smelled, or whatever else that we'd like for you to hear about. So, Justin, you're up first.
all right. So my recommendation, disclaimer, I've only watched 2 episodes. I give this disclaimer because I watched a show on HBO Max, but don't watch this show. It's garbage. It was an anime called Ninja
Kamui?
something. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it garbage?
Okay, so you see this trailer. It looks amazing. You
looks
watch the
so
first
good.
episode. It is so amazing. Second episode, still good. Third episode, pretty good. By the 5th or 6th episode, it turns into like the art style changes. It turns into like CGI. They all have these like
Oh.
robot suit things. And it's not good. It's not good. I
Did
didn't
they
finish
run
it.
out of money?
No, because they're spending more money on the CGI
Those-
garbage. It was bad. It was bad.
Bad creative decisions.
That's so disappointing.
It shifted so hard that like I didn't remember that it was the same show.
All
I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, why am I watching this?
right, so I'll just watch the first 3 episodes and call it.
But you're not
reminds
going to
me
get
of-
any closure.
That reminds me of, did y'all watch Dracula, the Netflix thing?
Yes,
No,
It
I
was
didn't.
great, but I will say the last episode
it
was
left
really
a
hard
lot.
for me to. I was like, whoa, time jump.
Yeah,
Spoiler, it's a few years old, but it was like first 2 episodes, perfect. I was so sad there was only like 3 episodes. Last episode, this is bullshit.
when
This is
Janelle and I
bullshit.
went to Honduras the last time, we they don't have TVs in the resort we stay at, so we brought my laptop and we were watching that while we were there when Ellie would go
man.
to sleep, and like we were really into it, and then
was
all
so
of a
good.
sudden it was just not
It
as
got
good.
shitty.
Mm.
By the way, I hope Janelle's doing good.
She
She
is.
seems like she's
She's
doing
doing
good.
great.
Tell her, give her a good A-frame or side hug from me, if you don't mind.
The Christian side.
Gotta
I'll
keep
do
it. Gotta keep it respectful.
I'll do
My
it.
sister in Christ. There you go.
Oh, I'm loving this. All right, cool.
Damn.
Okay, anyways, back on track. Back on track. So the show is called Cross. It is about Alex Cross, you know, the James Patterson character, you know, who's been played by so many different people. But so far this one's actually good. Which granted, you know, Morgan Freeman in the 90s, that was good. That was good for its time. But in the very first episode, his wife is murdered. No one knows why. No leads, no suspects. And then it jumps forward a year. And that's not the main point of the series as far as I can tell, but it's like the subtext that informs him and his mental state. And then this guy is killed and he's like a former gang member. So the police are like, "Oh, it's a gang thing." And Cross, who's a detective, is like, "It doesn't seem right." And then it starts to evolve. You find out like after he got out of prison, he was like a community leader and all this other stuff. He was pushing for all these reform. So the community's blaming the police for his death. And then you pretty quickly, like literally first episode, so not really much of a spoiler if you plan on watching this, find out that the guy who killed him, he's out there doing something. He's a weird dude. He's a weird dude. And it's great. I like that they've told us who the killer is at the beginning. That means that we're not going to go with the typical trope of like, oh, hey, this is whatever. And he has a new victim now who's an entirely different demographic. So I don't know what his point is, but the acting's been good. It's been solid. Pacing, great. Soundtrack, excellent.
You got Tim's
Definitely got
attention.
like
I know. I'm in.
Tribe, like a Tribe Called Quest feels
Ooh.
on the
Oh
soundtrack.
shit! Okay.
Nice.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I really need to look up who did this soundtrack, but it's 2 episodes deep. It's good. It's good. Lots of emotions, and Cross. I can't remember who the name of the guy who plays him, but his partner is played by the Old Spice guy.
Oh.
Old Spice.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I know what you're talking about. Dang. It's called Cross.
The guy
What's
that was
it
on a horse.
It's on Amazon Prime.
I'm on a horse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, yeah. Stacked cast.
Yeah. Cast is great.
Yeah, I'm in.
Dang.
You said it was on Hulu?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon. Oh, okay, I can do that. I could also get it other ways too, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, correct.
We'll have a whole episode about that in the future too.
Cool. Does it give off like True Detective vibes, or is it different?
It's
If
not
it's based on
True
the books, it's a little more actiony.
Okay.
More like Reacher.
It's not Reacher levels of action. It's more like thriller than like action thriller.
Like suspense.
At least so far. We're 2 episodes deep, so I don't know long term, but not True Detective vibes. True Detective, I would not be recommending. While I liked it,
Dude, I love that show.
I finished the first season.
Same.
I've
Am I
only
the
watched the
one
first
that hasn't
season.
watched it?
Huh?
I'm the only one that hasn't watched it, I guess. I'll check
You
that
got to
out.
watch it in a good headspace.
No,
I
Chris
finished
should not
it.
be watching this show, guys.
It's
Chris
I
dark.
is
finished it
almost
on a
never
plane.
In a good headspace anymore.
Yeah, I finished watching it on a plane, and
Oh.
I was like, this is not. I don't feel okay.
You shouldn't have allowed that on a plane. What? That's not okay.
I had a window seat and there was no one next to me. You know, I'm just chilling on my iPad back when I used to travel a lot for work. And then I proceeded to watch anime to feel better about
Yeah.
existence.
No
Dude,
kidding.
It's
So-
so nihilistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. All right, man. Was that all?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. All right, well, I got next. I just finished watching a film that I've been really excited about all year. It's called Saturday Night. The synopsis goes like at 11:30 p.m. on October 11th, 1975. A ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers changed television forever. This is the story of what happened behind the scenes in the 90-minute leading up to the first broadcast of SNL. So obviously, this film takes a lot of liberties because it's putting a 90-minute film in a 90-minute time frame, and they, stir up drama and everything. But this movie, I was afraid is going to follow a lot of the same tropes and a lot of the same, I don't know, kind of biopic feels everything, and it just doesn't. It feels like it's a Saturday Night skit, but as a movie. But it's also like making fun of itself in a way, and the acting is absolutely incredible with it. You got Gabriel, I think it's LaBelle as Lorne Michaels, Rachel Snow as Rosie Schuster. What was her name?
I don't know.
I forgot what it was. You got Corey Smith as Chevy Chase, and man, by the way, that made me feel a lot of things. By the way, Chevy Chase's
I would
character.
imagine so.
Yeah,
Chevy Chase is not a good dude.
he is the worst human being.
Yeah, just go watch Community. You'll learn that real fast.
Yes,
We were
Yeah.
talking
He
about
plays
that the other day,
himself.
like, he is not a character on that show.
he's not acting.
That's him. Yeah.
Real life version.
Yeah, but anyways, the movie's really great. It's really fun. As a person who does not watch a lot of Saturday Night Live, but has like seen enough in pop culture, it was kind of refreshing. It was kind of like, oh, this is how it all began, and this is definitely how, I guess in a way, kind of like influenced our parents and influenced the culture behind us, and it just was really refreshing. I think.
Solid.
Go check it out. Saturday Night.
They should do like by the decades. Just do another Saturday night next week. Saturday night the week after.
Ah,
but like
or by episode, and it'll never end.
Oh God.
a documentary about each episode of Saturday Night Live released on Fridays.
Jesus Christ.
That's horrible.
It would be. Speaking of not horrible, Corbett, you're next.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Okay. Recommendations. I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna go with music.
Ooh.
Please do.
So my wife and I, we got a record player. We finally invested in a good record player. Got a Riga. It's amazing.
I'm millennial.
I'll get a good preamp. Yeah, we're proper millennials. And this is the record collection behind us. And I will say right now, what I've been really, and it's probably no surprise if you follow me on Instagram, you can probably guess what I'm gonna say. MF Doom.
Yeah.
All things MF Doom. So
Yes.
Look, I
Dude.
pulled out my Spotify so that I could search for whatever you're about to recommend. I'm going to put it back because that's already
Dude.
all over my playlist.
hell yeah.
Hold that
Dude.
thought.
Dude, yes, go get it. Mad Villain, Food, Operation Doomsday, and then we just picked up this like super rare find. Come on, what you got? Mad Villain? Come on, I got it. Oh, it's not opened yet. Let's go.
I literally just picked this up Saturday.
Dude, let's go.
I'm moving
love
next
it.
week, so I didn't bother opening it because everything's a mess. But brand new.
I love it. I love it. That's one of my favorite records of all time. MF Doom. So all things MF Doom. Sade. We've been jamming some Sade. A totally different vibe, but well, kind of, there's definitely some overlap there. And then I'm gonna go on a total different direction for my metalheads out there. Gojira, let's go.
Also been
Okay.
listening to a lot of Gojira,
Dude.
specifically since the Olympics.
Yeah. Dude, we saw them. And we saw them at the Tacoma Bowl with Spirit Box and Korn, actually. I never thought I would go to a Korn show.
I want to see
Didn't
Spirit
strike
Box
me as
so
a Korn
bad.
guy.
Dude, Spirit Box was, did you say I strike you as a Korn
You
guy?
did not strike me as a Korn guy.
you know, a little Korn? Yeah. Dude, Spirit Box's set was 20 minutes. It was really sad. We only caught like 2 songs.
Oh, because they were
But-
like the opener.
Yeah, they were the opener, but Gojira, when they started and I've gone to a lot of shows, right? We were our jaws were on the ground and we couldn't stop laughing out of just like being blown away for like 5 songs straight. I've never been so entertained. It was probably the best show I've ever gone to. It was outstanding. And then if I have to say some kind of like a TV show or something, I'm just gonna say, dude, True Detective season 1. Let's go.
Let's go.
When you were talking about, I know it's not new, but I know a lot of people that haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Pacing,
Me.
music, acting, arcs, like the character arcs are fantastic. I just watched it again for the second time not that long ago, but I also really kind of like dark shit.
Yeah, me too, man. Me
So
too.
I'm like, so those are my recommendations. Make sure you're in a good headspace. That's good. Make sure you're in a good headspace. Make sure you're nice and hydrated.
I'm going to be honest. If it doesn't involve child murder,
It does.
It does.
okay.
That's
And
why I said no.
sacrifices
That's
and
like-
like, yeah.
Bro.
Listen,
He's already
Oh,
out.
bro.
I do very
that is
quickly.
the one thing I cannot do is child murder. Like watching children suffer,
Oh.
I can't. It affects
don't
me
watch
so much
them
more since I've
suffer.
had kids. Like
Yeah, you don't watch them suffer, but you learn
Yeah.
about.
And
You put
great
2 and 2
detail.
together.
yeah.
It's pretty dark.
Well, now like I
Yeah.
work with kids, so it's not just my kids, but it's all of the kids that I work with as well. And
Yeah.
like
Maybe
just
don't watch
imagining
True
stuff like that,
Detective.
like I can't do it. So that's not a show I'll watch.
Hard pass. Yeah, don't watch
Yeah.
True Detective because of that. That's my Rex. All right, let's
Nice,
pass it
man.
along
Sick.
to
Love it.
Chris. Yeah.
Very, very nice. Very demure.
Thank
Very
you.
cute.
Ooh, mindful. Thank you.
All right, wrap this up, Chris.
All right, so mine is weirdly enough, I've been listening to the radio lately. We take
Oh,
Ellie
no.
to school.
Who are you?
I don't know.
The
man.
radio?
Listen. We take Ellie to school in the morning, and
The
then like,
radio?
I connect my phone to the Bluetooth or CarPlay or whatever it is, and I'll play her music to get her pumped up for the school day. And then after we drop her off, I forget to connect it, so the radio just starts playing automatically. So Janelle and I have been listening to the radio in the mornings.
Nice.
And we found this show that I adore.
Are you about to
now.
recommend a local channel?
96.7
NPR.
Kiss FM. It's on iHeartRadio though, so you can find it on iHeartRadio
Okay.
if you want to listen to it. It's the Jubal Show. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this show.
Jubal?
No, sir.
Listen, I don't really care about Jubal or his life. I don't care about any of his co-stars on his show. I care nothing for the music that he selects. None of it. I like 2 specific segments he does. The first one is To Catch a Cheater, where
Ooh,
people will
that's fun.
email or call in, and then he just picks these psychotic people up and is like, yeah, I'll help you with your case. And they're trying to catch their significant other cheating on them. So
Ooh.
what he does is he'll call them and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from this local grocery store that you shop at, you're a rewards member at, or this local cookie shop that you enjoy, whatever have you. And you won a dozen cookies to be delivered anywhere in the U.S. that you want.
Oh.
You can't get them, but they're delivered to somebody else. Who do you want to send them to?
I think I've seen this on TikTok.
And the entire
Love
time
that.
he's doing that, like the person that called Jubal is on the line, just being quiet. So then they're like, oh, let's say like the episode today was Candace called in to catch her boyfriend cheating on her. And he said, send these cookies to Casey. Or it was flowers. It was like, send these roses to Casey, but say they're from Blair. So like, then Candace like starts yelling. She's like, what the fuck, man? Who the hell is Casey? He's like, Casey is my friend who's been staying at my secret apartment that I didn't tell you about. And Blair is his ex-girlfriend. They broke up. I'm trying to get them back together, so he moves out of my apartment. And it's just like crazy stuff like that happens all the time. And it's delicious. I
Don't
love the
cheat
drama.
on.
I
Don't
love
cheat.
it.
That's don't cheat.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Don't do
cheat.
that.
Just
That's
don't.
the
Don't
best
do
way
it.
to not get caught cheating is to
Just
not cheat.
do it.
Don't fucking cheat.
Yeah, literally.
there-
I'm going to say
there
what
are
I always
people-
say. Break up.
There was an episode yesterday where this woman was flirting with her boss, and like he sent her a text message at the middle of the night on Microsoft Teams, by the way, not even like on her phone,
my
through Teams.
God.
That was like, you want more of what you had yesterday, don't you? I know you do. And like it was back and forth, and the guy was like, what the hell's going on? She somehow convinced him that she was just being flirty to get a promotion, and that nothing had ever happened and nothing was ever going to happen. And the people on the Jubal show are like, bro, you shouldn't believe that. Like,
no.
all this evidence you've given us says 100% she's cheating on you. And he's like, you know what? I believe you, and I forgive you. And nothing past second base is cheating anyway.
Whoa.
What?
That was a crazy thing. Like, nothing past second base is cheating, sir. This is a Wendy's. Like, you can't say things like that.
I wish Harley was here in this episode to describe my facial expressions, because what?
Oh,
That's just one part of it. There's another part called second date or first date something or other, where people go on first dates and then they get ghosted, so they call Jubal to try to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
So he'll call them and he'll say, hey, we just got a message from so-and-so that you guys went on a first date and they thought it was a great time, but you haven't responded. We just want to know what's going on. So they'll explain themselves, and then that person, again, is on the other line, and they're usually pretty upset about whatever happens. I've only seen that one go well and end in a second date once.
They're just wanting chaos. That's all this is.
That's what I want. That's why I like
Yeah.
it so much. It's
Dude.
all chaos.
that's why reality TV is a thing.
The
Come
one
on
from
now.
the other day I listened to, and you can find these on like TikTok and stuff, so that's probably where you found it, Tim.
Yeah.
But one I listened to, this woman asked this guy out, or he took her out, whatever it was, and then this other guy also took her out. They had very similar stories. They both called in to the radio show, so he brought them both on.
Yeah.
He brought one guy on first who told the story, and then he was like, yeah, crazy. I've also got this guy over here, and it was like John and James. He's like, I've also got this guy over here that has the same story. And he's like, yeah, same thing happened to me. So they're like bonding over this. And then he calls her and he's like, hey, you went on a date and ghosted someone. Do you remember who it is? And she was like, was it Dave? Completely different guy. Third
He does
party
this all
guy. So they're like getting mad and yelling at her. And she's like, listen, I do this for a blog that I do. I go out on one date and I enjoy my time. They enjoy their time. And they're like, you don't think you're using us? Like, we went out on a date. We had a good time. And she cuts them off. She's like, well, then it sounds like you got something out of it, too.
Yeah.
And, like, she has no regrets about this. She is unapologetic. And I love her. She is probably my third favorite woman in the world.
I love that. Oh my
LB, Janelle,
gosh.
Harley, and her. In that order.
Nice.
So, good times had by all. I love it. It's a blast. Listen to that radio show.
Can I amend my recommendations? I forgot. I left something very important out that I think
please.
I think your audience specifically would like, and I think it's important in a time like this. This is someone that my wife put me on to. Her name is Sharon McMahon. Do y'all know Sharon McMahon?
Yes.
Dude, talk about a epic, like brave powerhouse. Just she I believe she was a government teacher for a while, and she's so educational. She's actually pretty in the middle as far as like, if you look at the chart of, you know, how polarizing different, you know, news sources are and everything. It's a social media, like, you follow her on Instagram, Sharon McMahon, and she just actually released a really good book that my wife's reading, and it's fantastic. But she does a really good job of updating the shitstorm that is the political landscape on like a daily basis, in a really digestible way. And she has some loose affiliation with like the new evangelicals.
Oh, yeah.
She's been like on Tim's pod. Yep. She's been on. So she's kind of in that bubble loosely. She spends 99% of her time focusing on like government and politics, but there is a little bit of an overlap into kind of the deconstruction world. There's definitely some of that audience there. So really good resource if you want good, reliable information that isn't like, you know.
One more time. What's her name?
Sharon McMahon.
Sharon.
Yeah, she's great.
Man, I've been wanting to do more books on Rec and Rev, but man, this semester just hits me so hard.
Are you in school right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh shoot, you getting your master's?
No, dude,
Bachelor's?
bachelor's, man. I'm going back.
Bachelor's.
Yeah.
Oh heck yeah! What for? What are you studying?
History, dude.
Oh, dude, I love it. I'm a huge history buff, man.
Yeah.
Which is why it's very obvious to see the shit show in front of us and be like, "Oh my god, it's happening again."
It's happening again.
Because
Just like, shit.
I literally,
But
I
you
told
can't
someone once.
explain that to people.
No.
I know. I literally told this person once, and she's from the state that is ranked last in education. We'll just say that. I was like, you need to turn off Charlie Kirk and read a book. And she was like, I do read a book, and I do read books, and I'd recommend you read this book about. It's like basically like how God saved America or something. I'm just like,
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
talking
I
about a
know
history
exactly what book
book.
you're talking about.
You know, yeah, it's like
Oh.
very much like Christian nationalist, like you're crazy.
Listen,
heard of
I,
Ben
I
Shapiro?
promise you that Jesus did not say anything about America because
Nope.
America didn't exist.
Exactly. Oh, I've got stuff.
But God wrote the Constitution, don't forget.
It's a living, breathing document. Yeah. The Constitution is inerrant. Exactly.
That's why it's in the Bible.
Infallible. Well, it's in Trump's Bible.
Exactly.
It sure
the
is.
only Bible that's
Exactly.
trusted by the state of Oklahoma.
Golly.
What a fucking grifter. Okay. Anyways, sorry. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Here we go. Here we go.
Let's transition into the fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, guys, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your recommendations. Good stuff today. We're moving along to a new game, a new segment that we're doing for the first time here. So, Corbett, congratulations. You're bringing in a novel game with us today. I don't know an official title, so I just made one up. I called One Word Game. I saw this on a few social media sites. And so the game works like this. You are going to try to guess a movie one word at a time. I'm going to list to you some words that are rather said in the movie or prevalent in the movie. And basically, the winner is whoever can guess the movie the fastest in the least amount of turns.
Okay.
Go.
I did my best to find movies that I believe you three have all seen.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Do we get one guess
Did I get
per
it?
round?
Yes, you get. Well, you like. I'll go one. Here's this word, and then you can make a guess, and then two, make a guess.
But
Three,
like
make-
just one guess per person for each round.
Well, each person's going getting one movie. So like you get one movie, Corbett will get one movie,
I see,
Justin will
yeah,
get
yeah.
one movie.
Oh.
I picked out
Didn't
6 different
we-
movies, and you can.
I
choose which
watched
one.
the instructional video. I came prepared. Don't worry.
Thank you, Corbett. I appreciate that.
I got you.
Someone here doesn't investigate the notes.
You just sent the notes to me like
Stop making excuses. Here we
20
go.
minutes ago.
All right, guys. Corbett, you're a guest, so you get to go first.
Go.
Choose a movie between 1 and 6.
Wait. I'm sorry. I thought I came prepared and I just got really confused.
Just pick 1 through 6. Like you don't have to like pick a movie. Just
Oh,
like
I
say
pick a
1 through 6.
number.
Yeah, pick a number.
3. Gotcha. I was like, I don't. 3. Let's go with 3.
All right, here we go. First word, principle.
Ooh. So it's not Passion of the Christ. Let's
It
see
might
here.
be. He had some principles.
Yeah, you did ask good principle.
Is that Principal or Principal?
Like a high school principal.
Okay, just
That's
just
3
Bad
words.
teacher. Is it bad teacher?
No, good guess though.
Okay.
Number 2, football.
10 things I hate about you.
Nope. Number 3, microphone.
You sure it's not 10 things I hate about you?
I don't know
Okay,
where
hold
this
on.
is going.
Microphone. Okay, we
Yeah.
got football, and it's a movie, not a TV show.
Correct. These are all movies.
Was it the movie adaptation of Friday Night Lights?
No, good guess though.
Right.
That's a solid one.
Nice. Deep cuts.
You might get it here. Run.
Okay, what are the words so far? What do we got?
Principal, football, microphone, and run.
Oh, remember the Titans.
No, but that would fit, but no.
That was
Yeah,
my
it
guess.
would.
I want to take a guess before you finish.
All right.
Okay.
Number 5, you should get it here now.
Well, don't put the pressure on.
Feather.
Feather. This is getting more and more difficult. Can you give me a time? Can you give me a year you can't give me anything.
You will get it if I say like a decade.
Rudy.
No, but you're on the right track.
Close.
Number 6, shrimp.
Shrimp.
I for sure know what this is.
Is this Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Let's go, Bubba Gump. Wait, okay, so what all did you have? You had principal?
Yep.
What? How?
The principal at the very beginning of the film who has relations with his
Get
mother.
out of here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the second
Football, because he plays football.
Obviously. Okay.
Microphone, when he does that speech in front of the memorial.
one? Yeah.
Run, Forrest, run.
That's the one I got.
Wait, Forrest Gump ran? I'm kidding. Okay, keep going.
Well, not at first. That was the problem.
He hobbled for a little bit, but he got there.
There.
That was the inciting incident.
Yeah.
And then Feather, the beginning and ending scenes.
Okay, that was really, really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Chris,
Tough.
you're up next. That's 6. You got there on 6.
You almost had it with Rudy.
I did. That really helped ground me a bit. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Chris, number 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6?
2.
Okay. Number 1, music.
School of Rock.
No. Number 2, snow.
White Christmas.
No. Number 3, skateboard. I love seeing all y'all's faces. This is great.
There's no movie that has these 3 things.
That's what I'm saying.
You'll be wrong.
Is it Johnny Tsunami Conquers the Mountain?
No, sir.
Close.
Number 4, fight.
What is happening right now?
Right.
I've never seen this movie.
I can almost guarantee all 3 of you have. Like,
I have
I
one
thought really
guess.
hard about this list.
Lords of Dogtown.
No. Number 5, vegan.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yes. Very
Nice.
nice.
Oh, very good. Very good. Skateboard.
I got you now.
I did not follow that. I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Number 1,
Man.
music. They were in the band. Number 2,
Yep.
snow. Canada, obviously. Number 3, skating. It was
Chris Evans.
Lucas Lee.
Lucas
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good actor. Now was a pretty good skater. Now he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Come a long way.
And then fight. He had to fight the exes, and then
Here's the rest of the words. I should have done this for you, Cor. I'll go back to it in a second. The rest of the words were twins, bass. I think you probably would have got it there, especially.
Oh, yeah. Bass guitar. Yeah.
X, evil, and then Toronto.
100%. I would have gotten that.
And then for Corbett, if I would have kept going on, the next one would have been ping pong. So.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Yeah. That's good.
All right. Justin.
I don't I don't feel very confident anymore.
You shouldn't. This is a very difficult game.
It's a lot harder than it seems.
1, 4, 5, or 6.
4.
Okay.
I don't like that sound.
Number 1, gate.
That's not helpful.
The first word rarely is.
All right, next one.
Oh, you're skipping. Okay.
No. You said gate. Yeah, I'm like next word. That's got me nothing. What am I gonna say? Steins Gate? I don't know.
Never mind. I was gonna get really weird there. Number 2, Jeep.
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was going to
got
say
it
Jurassic
with that.
Park.
Wow, that was too easy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Jurassic Park. Yeah, I'm over here like
Come
signing
on.
to Tim what I think my guesses are.
When you said gate, for some reason, the first thing I thought was X-Men, that opening scene with Magneto.
Oh, that
like,
would have been dope.
My
Yes.
first thought was actually Arkham Asylum. So parallel.
oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
I said 300, so
I was thinking Heaven's
Oh,
Gates, Hell's Flames.
that was my first thought. But I was like,
That's
not a
actually
movie.
something I'm going to talk about later. I love that we both know what that is. Oh my God. Have you watched those videos on YouTube to like kind of dig into that trauma?
Oh my
No.
friend.
Don't recommend it. Don't
I
do
have
it.
not.
It's alarming.
I did
Oh.
rewatch The Worm, and that was a mistake.
Nice.
I don't know
Very
if you ever
good.
saw that one, but it was rough.
Speaking of religious trauma, I have this
Mhm.
coworker who has no religious background whatsoever.
Oh,
And-
How lucky.
Oh God.
Oh,
Dude.
it's hilarious. So her best friend at work shares a cubicle wall with me, and he's pretty active in church. He's in a very liberal denomination. And they were talking about a mutual friend who's dating this woman, and they're like, okay, well, she's got a Bible verse on her Instagram handle, but her page is private, so we're trying to figure out how Christian she is. Like, is she like evangelical, or is she like more like liberal? And so they're
Yeah.
going, and then they look at her, pull up her Facebook, and there's a picture of her and her family, and he goes, and this might be a deep cut for even some of you guys. He was like, "Ooh," and he just looks at me and he says, "Quiverful."
Oh,
Quiverful of arrows.
trust me, we all get that.
Okay, and my friend, my coworker, she's like, "What? What?" I'm like, "Well,
Where to begin?
yeah. I mean, but we always constantly explain like religious shenanigans to her. Like today was the candy cane, how the candy cane represents
It's a
Jesus.
J
and
for
Chri-
Jesus.
Shepherd staff.
Yeah, and the
or-
shepherd staff, and the stripes mean this. The red is for his blood. Yeah,
White
that
is
whole
for
thing.
the purity.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude.
So that was our fun conversation today.
Wow.
So innocent. It's
What
fascinating.
a way to live, man. To not feel just the crushing weight of existential dread and the potential of like eternal conscious torment. That
Yeah.
sounds beautiful.
cry about
Yeah,
it every
I think
day.
it's because her dad grew up Catholic, and he was like, no.
Oh.
Fuck this.
That's no, truly, that's how Ellie
Hard
is.
pass.
Like, Janelle has like a headband for when she's doing her makeup that has
Mhm.
devil horns on it. I thought it was
Ah,
cute.
nice.
I bought it for her. It's funny. And Ellie saw it, and she's like, "Mama, you're a crab."
She doesn't have the frame of reference.
Exactly. I love
Oh,
it
that's
so
so
much that
adorable.
she has zero fear of that kind of thing.
Oh, I
Good
love
on
that.
you, man. Good on you.
Yeah, we could have a whole episode about hell and the formation of hell as an idea, how it's evolved as a concept.
Oh, I've got
In-
notes pulled up. I'm pretty sure we're gonna
Justin,
dig in.
it's funny that
Christianity.
you say that, dude, because that's a great segue into our next segment.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go next segment. The
All
main
right.
segment.
Well, hey guys, we'll be right back. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna deep dive into all of that. Oh, you get it? Deep dive into all that. Anyways,
Like we're diving into hell.
that's right, buddy. We'll be right back. All right, everyone. Welcome back. I'm excited about this. I've been wanting this episode for a very long time. Chris, you know, this is all I've been talking about for many moons.
Any moons.
Many moons. As I kind of preluded before here, Corbett, myself, and Chris, we go really far back. We met at Liberty Hill Well, let me take that back. I believe I met you guys at Liberty Hill Middle School,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's my
where we all
memory.
met.
and and then Chris and I became friends at Grace and best friends from there. And then Corbett and we went to Liberty Hill together.
Yeah.
And you went to Heights, right?
I went to Heights. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we crossed shoulders there too. We didn't really hang out too much then, but we definitely crossed paths.
I was kind of a douchebag in high school, so there's that.
A little bit.
I was a nerd.
I was pretentious and really into myself, so it was a me thing probably.
I mean, I was into my own little world. We were talking about the other day, actually, last night. I was like, man, I really wish. I had a really great question from Chris's nephew. Like, what would you change about yourself in high school? Like, what would you have done differently? Like, man, I just wish I would have just been better friends and like gone out more and like challenged myself.
I really wish I would have branched out.
And like,
that's the kind of thing you say to your friends when you don't like your friends. when they say something stupid, you're like, I should have branched out earlier in my 20s.
Yeah. So we go a long ways back. And then a little context. I'm sure Corbett will share a little bit too, but we kind of grew up at rival churches, if you want to call it that. I don't know if you call it rival, but we were definitely I wouldn't call it competing, but it was kind of competing. But
I would
it wasn't
100% call it competing.
It's so funny because I have never thought of it that way.
Really?
I've always just thought of it. No, really, honestly, but that shows how honestly probably just into myself I was. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, but every church kind of has. It's like they're trying.
Sure.
Because the way it's structured, they're little.
They all
business.
want to be the biggest church.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess by definition, there's like some rivalry. But I know, as far as like I always felt it was all love. It was all love.
Yeah. Well, it definitely, especially like once I kind of got past that, and of course in middle school it felt that way. But like as I got older and got to know you guys and everyone else, I was like, yeah, all right. And then of course Chris abandoned me at Grace and went to your church, and
right.
So
then you hated us.
Come back. I didn't abandon you. I was asked not to come back.
Whoa. Hold on, pause.
You're not welcome here anymore.
Why?
Boy.
Why?
Boy.
Why, Chris? Why were you asked to not come back?
Long story short, my parents disagreed with a decision that the leadership of the church was making, and when they verbalized that, they were asked not to come back if they couldn't get on board.
Yeah.
Church
healthy.
things.
Church things.
And
healthy church things.
To both parties' credit, like
They
the
both
church
deserved it.
the church was making a bad decision.
What
But-
was the decision?
Wait, hold up. The church made a bad decision?
I know, novel,
That
right?
doesn't-
Like I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
And then my parents also like could have done literally anything else. So
What was the decision
mind.
in place though? Is what
I
wanna
will
know.
tell you outside of the pod.
Okay, spicy. Love that.
Spicy.
And if you
They
guys,
were covering up a
if
murder.
our if our
I'm kidding.
listeners would like to know, I will also add it to our Patreon should we ever start one.
You have to pay to get the goods?
Hey, there's a paywall
You
for
want
everything,
church-
man.
Dude, we will charge you for gossip.
Just like the church will.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
'Cause
Full circle.
You
I
gotta
love
pay
it.
for those extra things.
You sure do,
Like
baby.
the men's retreats. You gotta
Nope.
pay for those.
Hey, you
Summer
tithe
camp?
to me, and I'll tell you all the goodies.
Yes.
For
Yeah, they make
sure.
you pay for them even if you're on staff, unless you're a pastor. Then everything's free.
Whew. All right.
Man, we are covering so many things.
I haven't even got to the first question.
Rapid fire.
Bam, bam, bam.
Well, we kind of did this already, but I'd like to start off with just asking you, Corbett, to share a little bit about yourself to our audience. Who are you?
Yeah.
What matters most to you, dude?
Yeah. So I am Corbett Hoxworth, 32-year-old dude, married to my best friend, Jessica Hoxworth, born in Houston, like Katy, Texas, lived there for 18 months, and then moved to Killeen. My parents are pastors, and they were pastors in Killeen, Texas for like something crazy, like 30 years. And so I grew up in the church, and when I say that, I mean very literally, like most of my dreams take place inside that church building. And I know you all probably have some flavor of that. But yeah, most of like my most formative years took place in the church, like probably spent more time in the church than at the house. especially when we were doing like the Sunday night thing, like back in the day when it's Sunday night services. So Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, and then also just pretty much every day, just being there to some extent all the way until like high school. But yeah, I grew up in a really, really good household. I've nothing bad to say about that, about my upbringing or anything. And yeah, I mean, I definitely at an early age back in the 90s was definitely exposed to the fire and brimstone evangelical evangelists, like pushing you down, uh, that kind of stuff was definitely in some of my most formative years. Um, and but yeah, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. Things that matter to me the most are human beings. Because whenever I'm at a place now after my deconstruction where I quantify everything down to if it doesn't fit within the very clear parameters of love God with all your heart and love your neighbor with all your heart, then I don't want anything to do with it. And there's a lot of things being pushed by like Christian nationalism, particularly, that are very at odds with the teachings of Christ. And so that's one of the things I'm really excited to talk about. But yeah, that's the thing that matters about me, social justice. It matters. And it's crazy that whenever I say that, some people are like, buzzword, social justice. Like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Neither of those words are bad individually,
Yeah.
and they mean even more positively when they're together.
One would think, I mean, that seems like it makes sense, but I've been seeing a lot of like the far, far, far right, like Christian nationalists who feel very persecuted right now for whatever reason, saying things like, "Oh, the left is exploiting your empathy. This is toxic empathy." And I'm like, do you hear what you're saying?
I saw that like for
You
the
saw that video?
first time the other day.
Toxic empathy.
I've
What does
never
that
heard
even
that.
mean?
Oh,
The fuck?
Like, how
wait,
do you
wait.
get there from love God, love people to this is toxic empathy?
And the
Can-
most
wait,
important
can-
of these things.
Can one of you explain that in more detail, both for me and the listeners who have not seen this?
Corbett, please share your interpretation.
It's hard to interpret. It makes no fucking sense. But I'll give you, I mean, it's basically saying you're an empath. You have a lot of empathy. Therefore, the left are trying to basically exploit that good characteristic to a toxic level where you become a full-on like socialist, like, and to where you want to just level the playing field for everyone. And I'm like, I'm not seeing the bad.
God forbid you want to be a
God
socialist
forbid.
like Jesus,
I know. Or
the man
or
who
like,
walked around giving out free food and health care. Like,
bro, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really it's a frail, weak, tired, and bankrupt theology, and it's really just a buzzword that little and like MAGA influencers use to try and
Like
basically
Charlie
say like Charlie Kirk, people like that.
Toxic empathy. God.
Toxic empathy. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're basically saying like your empathy is being exploited.
Well, it's
how
like,
dare
and-
you care about people?
well, it's like they'll
You
usually say
carry too
something along
much,
the lines
man.
of like, "Oh, yes,
There's a whole
don't forget
book.
about the justice side of this. Like, obviously, yes,
Yeah.
we love God, He loves us, but obviously, don't forget that He's a God of justice. He's a God of law and order." And it's like that they draw on that.
They really,
there's-
yeah.
There's a book.
Yep.
It's a book called
Dude.
Toxic Empathy: How Progressives Exploit Christian Compassion.
It's really sad because it's really sad because you have especially right. Well, I could go on and on that, but let's did I cover all of your questions?
believe
Because
you
I want
did.
to make room because we can dig in here. So
Well, let's go back again because you kind of started to dive into what I'm going to ask you next, which is great. But as a fellow pastor's kid, I too grew up in church and spent those late nights, Easter prep week. I remember that. So I want to ask you kind of like a two-pronged question here. One, how would you describe your adolescence experience in church? Like, in my personal experience, I feel like I was kind of privileged to have a good sense of community and belonging. And I almost feel guilty for thinking back and going, I know that I have friends who had really rough experiences, but I didn't entirely feel that way. Like, obviously there were times where I felt like my dad wasn't always there, but like overall I felt like it was a positive thing. So I was curious about your experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that too. I think I had a very good upbringing. I am very thankful. My parents love very, very deeply, and uh they poured everything, every single thing they had into every single day. And I was actually just talking to my mom right before I came on this podcast to tell her like, hey, I'm just want to let you know I'm going on this podcast. I'm going to be talking about some stuff. And she was so supportive. And they're like doing some real deconstruction, which is like awesome
Good.
because when
Really
I
good.
look at the people that were specifically surrounding their life, and I'm not going to go into names or anything, but for a large period of time, the people of influence that were the closest to them, and I look at the lack of work that those people have done over the past 30 years, and my parents had like a big aha moment where they're really reevaluating some things, and it makes me have so much respect for them, knowing like I have a hard time being mad at them
Yeah.
because I know that they thought they were doing the right thing, just like most pastors. So having that said, and not to say like they were doing the wrong thing,
Right.
but they were very much cogs in the machine that is organized religion. And with that comes a lot of stuff that they will be the first to tell you, hey, that actually caused harm. Oh my God. And, so they're doing the work, which I have a lot of respect for. For me, I had a great upbringing. I'm very grateful. My dad instilled such good characteristics into me, and to my brother. I have an older brother, Tyler, who's amazing. And it was good. I also shared the same sentiment with you as far as sometimes I feel guilty because I'm like, I had a really good upbringing, but I also recognize my privilege.
Right.
I was a pastor's kid. And in that world, that's like a really strange celebrity status. And it's fucked up. It does not make sense. It's weird. There's a reason there's like a term like, oh, you're a PK. That's a
Yeah.
thing.
You're
Like
PK.
there's a complex that you will like it's different. Um some of the things though, like some of the things that didn't go super great was like um I had one of my earliest memories of being in like church, being in children's church with a children's pastor who I'm not going to mention by name, because I also believe he thought he was doing the right thing to the end. I really do believe that, which I think matters, but we also must be teachable as well.
Exactly.
And that's the reason how do we move forward through all this? But I remember we had we were in this children's church environment, and he told us all pick a side of the room. And so we all picked a side of the room, and I went to the opposite side of my brother just to spite him because we were that age. And he literally was like, this side. I still don't even know the message. Like, I don't even know the lesson. He's
Just the
like,
trauma.
No one ever does.
this side went to heaven. You get to go outside and play. This side, you chose hell.
Holy
Come
fuck.
on. And I'm like, what?
What?
Holy
I was
Just a
like,
random
I was,
side of the
Wait,
room.
wait. How
I
how
was
old were
8.
you?
I was
8?
8. I was
8?
8. I was
8?
8. 8
Oh
to 10.
my.
8 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. To the
Oh my
point.
gosh. Okay. Sorry. Go.
No, you're good. To the point where I remember I was wearing this shirt. This is how ingrained this is in my memory. I was wearing this shirt, and it was like, how like back when we were kids, they were like the shirts where like they would print your picture on it. I don't know why I was wearing a picture with my own face on it. I don't know, but I was. And I remember looking down at and being like so disappointed in myself because I knew that like I was about to go to hell. Because the thing he was saying is the way he told us, he was like he was acting like he was like, y'all made a bad decision tonight and you missed your ticket. You're not going to be able to say goodbye to your parents. You're not going to be able to say goodbye to your friends. For eternity, you're going to be tortured in hell. Hellfire, gnashing of teeth, rats climbing up your legs. third degree burns, just like going.
Do you even know what gnashing means at that age?
I was just
It
like,
sounds bad.
I remember literally raising my hand and asking if I could say goodbye to my parents. Like that's how fucked up this was. And I guess what he was trying to do was put the fear of God in us. Because then he was
100%.
like, yeah, he was like, so now you know what's at stake. Follow God. Don't take his name in vain and go have fun. And then we went out and played. Dude, that's some sound theology, if you ask me. No, yeah. So that was pretty scarring. And I talk about this frequently with like my parents, and one thing, just the other day, my dad was like, "I'm so sorry that happened to you." Look, my dad did not know. My dad at this point was like the pastor. I think he was the associate pastor. He was in a place of leadership that if he knew, he could have intervened, but he didn't know. He genuinely didn't know. Like he was playing bass on Sunday and like preaching. Like he didn't know it was happening at the same time. So he was never there. And that's the organized religion aspect that's really dangerous. Are these people who are teaching these kids qualified? What are they teaching them? What about the psychological effects that are happening? And is there any oversight or accountability taking place? Because you are literally doing psychological damage. Like I can attest to it. My brain's fucked up.
I was about to say there was no self-confidence issues later on at all.
Listen,
Yeah.
I was not. I was not a pastor's
never.
kid, but I was also at church every Sunday.
Yeah, dude,
morning
you
and
basically were a pastor's
evening.
kid.
Essentially,
Sunday,
yeah,
Tuesday,
like,
Wednesday,
my parents
Friday.
were not pastors, but my parents really wanted to be on the pastor's good side, so I was
Yeah.
always voluntold to do something.
Yeah, I was about to say you were on that voluntold team. Yeah.
So
No, dude.
I
no,
also remember these moments.
Dude, my entire life up until I went to college as a 20-year-old adult, I was still every morning, every night, and probably, no joke, probably at least 10 times throughout the day, out of like borderline anxiety attacks, saying, God, please forgive me for every sin I commit, every sin I ever have committed, every sin I ever will commit. I'm so sorry. Please don't send me to hell. Like, it had nothing to do with being in relationship with whoever created this all. It was all about, I do not want to burn in hell for eternity.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is Satan running loose and manipulating. No, this is organized religion. Like this is indoctrination, and this is a problem that needs to be nipped in the bud or the butt, whatever. And so
nip it wherever you want, as long as it gets nipped.
Nip it in the nip. New term coined by yours truly. No, but like all that, like Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, that they came to our church.
Yeah, same.
And that shit was crazy. It was honestly, they probably came to our church and then to your church.
Exactly.
They do like a tour.
No, 100%. They hit the big three.
The big
Grace,
three.
faith, and chop.
Thank you all for tonight. We'll see you all at Tipple next week. We'll be right there.
For real. But for the people who don't know what this is, Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames is a production. And for a lack of better words, it's a traveling circus. Mm-hmm. These people will travel to different churches that pay for them to come. They're evangelists. And they put on this full production where they dress the entire sanctuary up to look like the throne room of heaven. So you've got this big chair in the middle with an angel on top with the Lamb's Book of Life, the gates of heaven behind, all these angels, okay? And they also, well, I'll just so that's how it starts. But remember, it's called Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. So that's a big part of it as well. It is a scare the shit out of you type thing. I was probably 10 around the same age. They come through and it's literally like the script. The actors, the paid actors, they come in and they train your church to be members of it essentially.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, they don't just bring their own people. They involve people that you as a child know.
Dude. Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, Mr. Jim. I don't know if you ever met Mr.
Satan?
I
Jim.
remember Mr. Jim.
No, Mr. Jim was, like, one of the people that died and went to heaven because he refused to go to hell. But, like...
he was like,
I cannot be seen that way.
Yeah, this is going to really affect my brand.
Yeah.
No, so... The way it goes essentially is it goes between different stories, and it's basically teetering between people who go to heaven and people go to hell. and it is so spiritually manipulative and emotionally manipulative because it's this big production where, and it's on YouTube. You should go watch it. It's crazy. This is real. And it'll basically be, there's a skit and there's like a construction worker named Bob. And you remember Bob, and he had the sandwich that was like, it was really heavy.
Comically large.
Yeah, it was
Scooby-Doo
comically large.
sandwich.
He like threw it and like breaks a 2x4 and like some fun in there. And he's like, blah, 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 beep, beep, beep. And it's like, oh, he cursed. Like, that's the example. Like, he cursed. He said ass or something. But of course, he didn't really say ass because we can't have him actually going to hell. And then they like, the lights start flickering and it's like, oh, the building's falling. The lights go dark. They die. And then the lights come on and whoa, Bob is in the throne room of heaven. And it's like, Bob, like, where am I? Oh God, you're real? I should have never cussed. And he's like,
Yes,
you're
the
not
mortal
in the
sin
Lamb's...
of cuss words.
Yeah, he's like, you're not in the Lamb's book of life. Hell.
I hate,
and then all
I
of a
hate
sudden,
to correct you. No, Bob was one that got saved right before the building
right
collapsed.
before, that's right.
Like,
that's
he
right.
was
Right
cussing
before
and everything, and then he got, like, his friend, Jim or whatever his name was,
to him.
showed up
Yeah, Jim.
and witnessed
Jim
to
and
him. He
Bob.
got saved seconds before the building collapsed.
And then he
And
dies.
I
You're
remember
right.
very vividly they were the last ones.
Yes.
And then, like, they both went in the gate and then came out and said, we both made it to heaven. Don't you miss it. And that was the end of the
That's
show.
right. That's the end of the show.
I
Okay.
remember that vividly.
So not the Bob one, but and we'll only tell these two stories because they are like literally like probably 15. It's a lot. But there's one where I think it's the dad who's in the boat and he's drinking with his child.
Yeah.
And he's on the boat and he's drinking and he crashes. The lights go dark, opens up, Lamb's Book of Life. The kid gets in, but the dad gets separated and dragged to hell by demons.
That one
And
was
the way-
the one that fucked me up because my dad drank, like, not heavily. He had a beer every now and then.
Dude,
Like,
even
my
if
dad's
he-
physical limit was 2 beers. If he had 2 beers, he was done. Like, he could not drink more than that. But in
Dude.
my 6-year-old mind, seeing Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames,
like, my dad's gonna go to
my
hell.
dad's going to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're never going to see each other ever again.
Dude, they're showing you the families being ripped apart.
Yeah.
And it literally like red strobe lights.
Again, using children that you know.
Children that you know that are in your congregation. So the psychological just what is happening, real families, and then someone dressed up as the devil comes out. Not chill, like
Devil.
real the whatever that is.
Side
The
note.
Air quotes
Satan.
devil.
I was going to say,
The
do you guys
Adolescence.
remember, like, I don't know if it was like maybe just a few of them, but like they started using like the Darth Maul mask.
Yeah. And in ours,
No,
in ours,
maybe I'm too old for that one, but no.
Yeah.
do you know what the devil's face was painted in ours?
No.
What?
Gene Simmons. It was painted like Kiss. But the devil comes out shooting flames. Like,
Honestly, if I saw it today, I'd be like, that's badass.
Like,
It's pretty dope.
I would be like, Strutter. Yeah. But yeah, and then all these like demons dressed in black like drags him out. And it's like, don't go to hell.
They're
So
like
that's
dragging him, kicking and screaming too. So like,
wailing, like
if you
putting
get good
chains around
actors,
them.
like, it was terrifying.
Dude, and the music is loud and it's like, the devil's here. And it's like really fucked up. So that was my childhood. Yeah. No, stuff like
Same.
that sprinkled in with a lot of good,
Yeah.
but moments. And honestly, like, even if you take that shit out and rewind it back 50 years, every generation, there's been a version of this.
Sure. Yeah.
The organ, I mean, dude,
Well, it's
Christianity has done some pretty bad things.
Yeah, well, it's so important that you
Crusades.
say that though, because it's like, it's funny because we'll share these stories, and like literally that whole Darth Maul thing never would have popped in my head again
Yeah.
had we not talked about this.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But it's like it is incredible how much I think we pushed down because it did affect us so much. It did really manifest itself in us so much, and a lot of that stuff doesn't come out until you really begin to talk about. I mean, obviously, I highly recommend therapy, but
I would say go to therapy.
Yeah, but yeah, growing up in church, you have at least in my experience, you had all these beautiful moments, community, connection, having people there for you. I mean, I met my best friend in church. And so, but then you also have these other dark moments where it's like, I felt such shame and guilt. And like, even through, after high school and college, like feeling so guilty for having just a thought about a woman that had a bikini on, like just feeling like, oh shit, here we go. I got to start all over again now.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
wild.
I have memories of, I have another memory of, there's the altar call. You always feel pressure to go to the front.
Every week.
Every week.
Dude, every week. And like,
I never did. I
Good
never
for
did.
you,
I
man.
resisted. I was like, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
Justin's
not.
going to hell.
No. Hold
Dude,
on.
you're
even
sprinting
even
towards
if
the gates of
even
hell.
if I felt it, I couldn't
Fuck
let
this.
it be known. Like I could never
Yeah.
be seen going up because like I went to youth group with my best friend and his parents and my parents were friends before either of them got married. So in the
Mhm.
off chance that something slipped and made it back to them and made it back to no man, because if I'm
that
going
was
to the
another
altar call,
crazy
I
thing
did
about
something
that.
bad.
Yeah, it's like something's wrong.
I went
You
to
must be
altar
going.
call and like my parents would see me and they'd be like, "What were you confessing to?"
Jesus Christ.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
I
It's
was
like
confessing
Esther
to
just said
Jesus
that was
Christ.
between me and God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's
between
as
you and
far
God
as
and
the
your
east
parents.
is from the west. Like, I'm not supposed to talk about it anymore.
But man, East Coast and West Coast are meeting right now in the
Yeah.
All-Star
For
game.
real.
Apparently,
Let's go. No, but I remember I was 10 and there's this shame for going to the altar. So it's this really weird, confusing feeling because you're like, you're telling me it's a good thing to come here and confess in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And as like a sign of like something. And I remember going up there, but it was going to the altar call to receive the gifts of the Holy Spirit and to speak in tongues.
There you go.
I was 10. There should have been someone that did not allow me up there.
Yeah.
There should have been someone that
Like,
says, "Hey,
you don't understand it at that age.
this is complex."
You don't understand salvation at that age, let alone that.
Dude,
Yeah, for
the
real.
same kids pastor that condemned me to hell sat with me until I spoke in tongues.
Mm.
And I can tell you now, removed from a lot of that, as a 32-year-old adult, I don't think I've ever spoken in tongues.
Utter bullshit.
I don't think
Like,
so. Yeah.
reading the Bible, speaking in tongues
Yeah.
was actually speaking existing languages. Like,
Dude.
you're not trying to confuse the devil. Like, that
Yeah.
wasn't what it was about.
Dude,
Even if
you
you,
know who you're
were, like,
confusing? Yourself.
even if you were, the thing that kills me, they're like, oh, it's the language of angels. The devil doesn't
I know.
understand. The devil was like, he was one of the angels. I promise you, he speaks tongues better than you.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're saying. He 100% does. And he's like, why are they talking about tax benefits right now? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Do you realize in Angel you're talking about tax? Yeah.
It's like,
No, I
could
could have bought a Honda, but I bought a Ford.
I would have.
shit about a Ford was shit about IKEA.
He's
Over
just
here.
like, I would have thought it was a better movie, but I
Interesting.
mean, everybody has their own
Yeah.
interpretations, I guess.
Dude, yeah, honestly, that so my upbringing was filled with a lot of that. It was like a lot of good, a lot of confusion, but like my worldview was also, I was certain that I was right. And there's so much hubris that type of environment cultivates, especially the older you get, because you're told essentially that there is one way.
Yeah.
How many different sects of Christianity are there?
There's what, 40,000
Thousands.
denominations?
Yeah.
I think it's 45.
Yeah.
40,000, 40?
Run there.
40
Okay.
to 45,000.
So does anyone here deal with statistics in their job or anything?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To feel
I
that
should, but I don't.
dude, to feel that, to have the level of confidence, same thing with like atheism. Like I respect whatever, but like I could never have the confidence to say that like there is, even though
Listen.
you can't quantify it, you know?
At my job, I teach pre-K to high school and then also
Mm.
college prep. In the
You're
pre-K to high
talking.
school, though, there are 35,000 skills that we can teach these kids to get them where they need to go. And they're all, it's like an interlocking web. You can teach one skill and then move on to the next thing. And they could, if you don't get that,
That's
we go
cool.
back and try a different thing. It's very complex. 35,000. There are 10,000 more denominations of
Dude.
Christianity then there are
And they-
skills between pre-K and 12th grade.
Yeah.
Individual skills. And when I say skills, I mean like the sound of the letter B is a skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conjugating from present tense to past tense is one skill, and then from future tense to present tense is another skill, and then back from past tense to future tense is another skill. Like individual things, you pick one, and you're
Imagine.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks.
right,
And we're talking
but they're
within
willing
one religion.
to die over it.
Yeah.
They're willing not
And
just
this
die
is one
to kill.
religion, dude. Yeah. Yes. And they have. And
Yes.
this is just one religion, dude.
And it's one of the major world religions. How many, aside from Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, how many other religions are there?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jedi is a religion.
Yeah. Hell yeah, it is.
Pastafarianism, like these are real religions.
Yeah.
And you're willing to bet
It all.
everyone's life on the fact that you're the one that's right.
Yeah. That level of hubris, I think, is that is, as Pete Innes calls it, the sin of certainty.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
know that y'all know that deep cut
Yep.
because so yeah, that's my upbringing. I will not go down any more on this rabbit hole because I can go. This could be the whole podcast. So I'll leave some room for next.
Well, Justin, I wanted you to share, Justin, if you had anything else
Yeah,
as
I
well.
want to hear you.
I mean, lots of parallel experiences.
Mm.
Yeah, the whole Heaven's Gates, hell, whatever.
Hell's Flames, yeah.
There was definitely a similar thing that I experienced, except it was like with like celebrity figures.
Ooh.
So like there was like Elvis, whatever, and so it's like Elvis is doing his drugs and whatever, and then it's like Hell's Flames come up.
Oh.
Wait.
Everyone went to
switches-
hell.
But he switches to a gospel song, and then the flames go
That's
away,
right.
and the gates come down. It's
You
like,
can't kill the king.
yeah,
Come on now.
How do we feel about Love Me Tender? Is that
but like,
It's kind of a Daddy God song, I think, a little bit. It kind
Daddy
of fits
God,
into that
fill me.
genre.
Fill me, daddy.
Feel me, Daddy God.
yeah, my upbringing is a little different. Definitely. Like, so my dad was an elder in all of the churches I was in growing up,
Right.
with the exception of one that we weren't in long enough for him to become one. But he preached with some degree of regularity. So I'm not quite a pastor's kid, but I would say I'm a preacher's kid. Because
Yeah,
I
dude.
still was in, me and my brother were the first kids in. And
Last kids
we
out.
were,
Yep.
yes, not even the
Dude.
last kids out, the
Sure.
last people, man.
Last people out, dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
not we were locking up the building.
Dude, I
We would
hated
do the
that shit, man.
walkthrough.
The worst.
Um,
Yep. The lights, flicking the lights off and on to tell people to leave.
Oh
What
man,
the-
oh, no, we wouldn't even
this
get that.
building.
They would just wait for them to leave. So like church is
Oh.
over at 12:15. We're leaving at 1:45. Like
Dude,
Honestly, that was like the most that Corbin and I hung out was when
Yeah.
my
When we were
parents were
waiting.
the last ones to leave the church other than
Talking
his
to my
parents.
parents. We'd
So,
do
like-
chat.
Hey man, let's go outside and chill.
Dude, or I would just go up and start playing the drums. I was
Yeah.
like, do something.
yeah,
Anyways,
So-
continue.
yeah. So I had a lot of those like kinds of experiences. But I think there's both cultural and denominational differences because I primarily grew up in Black churches, which
Cool.
is like the main church that I feel like was really influential was when I say a Black church, there was one white family, the Aldrins, who claimed to be related to Buzz Aldrin, but I don't know if that's real or not.
I call bullshit.
And
No way.
it's not a common last name, so maybe.
I was about to
Um,
say, actually, they might be.
Like
yeah.
a distant
uh,
relation.
Like it wasn't even like it was like an offhanded comment, which is why I'm more likely to believe it. It was just like, well, yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
No big
cool.
deal. We're related to Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah.
NBD.
Versus like bragging about it like some people do. Like, like when they used to play in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. Wait, was that did someone here say that they did that?
Oh, there was a
Chris?
pastor at Grace who said he used to play in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons. And he was in the Florida Gators. But if you Googled him, you couldn't find any record of his NFL or his NCAA
It was
record.
before Google. You guys don't understand. It was before Google.
But here's
That's
the
the
thing.
way Google works. Yeah.
But then if you found a copy of his resume, you really realized that things didn't line up for what he was saying. And his whole story was a lie.
He's just a con man. He's literally a con
But no,
man.
genuinely,
So he fits in perfectly.
he had the
Church
most
is where he-
charisma out of any human being I've ever met. Everybody loved this man.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
let me tell you, I have never truly hated another human being until this man.
Oof,
The things
yeah.
that he did to people I cared about, I was bothered by the level of vitriol I felt. I never, people will joke oh, I'm so mad I could kill him or something like that. I have never in my life seen someone be so wronged by another human being that I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I would not be, I don't know how bothered I'd be if he died. And that was a very concerning thought to me. And the fact that that was something that I experienced in the church was even more bothersome.
Dude, the church is like a breeding ground for that kind of behavior because there's no accountability.
Yeah.
Like if you are someone, look at Russell Brand, for example.
Mm.
Every MAGA evangelical's favorite person right now. If you ever, and I'm not saying he didn't have some kind of a real transformation or whatever, but the dude's sexual assault allegations pushed him straight into Christianity. There is a staggering correlation between white males who have sexually assaulted people and then absolved themselves.
That diagram is way overlapping.
It's a circle.
It's
pretty much just two circles of each other. But
It's like
yeah.
when you have double vision because you've been laying down for too long and everything's
Yeah.
not quite lining up.
We
It's
call
like
that the evangelical astigmatism. Oh my god.
Oh, I love that.
wow.
Yikes.
Dude, that
But,
could be a whole
yeah.
episode.
That could be
Yeah.
a whole.
All
That
of
could
these
be a whole
things can be a
episode.
whole episode. The first time we went through our deconstruction, Tim and I, it was like what, six episodes?
We
And
did
it
a
was
6-part
I love
series. Yeah.
those.
the
dude.
longest episodes we had done at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those really inspired me to do some inner work because that was what, 2020?
It was back then.
21, I think, because I think I left the church in 21.
Yeah, it was right
Yeah,
on
it was
the
21
heels-
because that's when I worked there.
right on the heels of the George Floyd movement and everything. And that's when me and my wife really started, when we saw, I think the big thing first is when we saw the way that particularly the evangelical church welcomed Donald Trump with open arms and everything that came with that.
Bro.
Dude, that was a big indicator of holy shit.
Do you guys remember? So right after George Floyd, there was the other guy who got shot, Jacob
Austin
Blake.
Jean? Oh,
Jacob
never
Blake.
mind. Okay.
So that was in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I was living in Kenosha. I was working at a church in Kenosha, and let me tell you, I was already ready to leave, and then COVID hit and messed all of that up for me. But when that happened, I was
Dude.
done. I was done.
Yeah.
Easy decision.
Well, because right before that, we actually started having these racial reconciliation talks. It was headed
Oh,
up by
God, how
by
fucking
this
familiar.
by this woman in our church, and and the pastoral response, our lead pastor, he was on board with everything. He was kind of spearheading it to a degree, giving her the authority to spearhead it, but he was basically parallel so that people wouldn't try to trample her authority or whatever. And I trust his intentions, but I remember being at these meetings and people would come out and air their grievances, mostly Black and Hispanic people, because there's a huge Hispanic population in Kenosha, the Kenosha area. But so we're talking about racial reconciliation stuff. We had this guy get up and talk about, he's like, okay, it's great that I see you guys talking about all of this stuff. He's like, but I don't see most of the pastors up here. I don't see them in these meetings. And I went and I called out people, not by name, because I still worked there and I valued making money because I was going through my divorce at the time and living with my sister and everything was a mess. But I was like, when people post things on Facebook, you realize it's like, oh, hey, it's like you're not saying directly, but the whole like, oh, if they just complied, there wouldn't have been an issue. Like, no,
all
man.
lives matter.
Listen,
Yeah, or posting why Donald Trump is the moral choice to vote for in this election. Like, I'm like, you can't post things like that and then be upset when when the black and brown people in your congregation are like, hey, we're not being listened to, we're not being heard, we don't feel comfortable or safe around a lot of you people. And you got people coming up and being like, oh yeah, I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable around this guy. One of the pastors in particular, he got fired and he's back in Florida. And I'm like, yeah. He's from the South. He's arrogant and sexist. Like, case in point to being sexist. I was talking with one of my friends about this recently because she interned under him. When Carl Lentz had his affair, right? And everything came out and the church shut down or whatever. This man was more mad about the woman who he had the affair with and how she just got to walk away with no consequence, allegedly, than he was about Carl Lentz.
What do you mean no consequence?
And
she got death threats, bro.
Yeah,
but that's not a
Carl
consequence.
Lentz lost everything.
But he didn't. He now has
everything.
Exactly, he deserved it.
But he didn't. He now has a podcast with his wife about surviving infidelity or whatever. But like, no, I remember hearing him say these statements, and I was so mad in that moment that I was like, I don't care if I lose my job. And I was like, so you're more mad that somebody who's not a Christian had relations with somebody who is about her having relations with a pastor, than you are about the pastor cheating on his wife and lying to his wife and his kids and his congregation and the people over him. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, because hear me out. Like, are you trying to hold this random woman from New York to your standards that she never has agreed to follow over a person who should be held to a higher standard because they're put in a position of authority over a bunch of other people? Because if that's what you're saying, I really think that that's really messed up and that you should really reevaluate that. I said that to him. I said that in front of interns. I said that in front of youth leaders and college students. And
good on you.
He did not have a response. And I literally was just like, I would get in trouble if it wasn't COVID because I was keeping that place afloat with all of my tech.
Yeah,
there's a TikToker that like brings stuff like that up on like as a comedy thing where he is the pastor. He does one that's like unhinged guest speaker and he just says crazy stuff. But he did a skit about that. He's like, you're the number one pastor in the state. You've got this mega church with 10,000 people. You just released a brand new book. What are you going to do next? And he's like, I'm going to cheat on my wife.
I know. It's Shama.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Shama's comedy is so spot on. I have so many friends who aren't in church anymore who send me his stuff all the time.
Yes.
So good.
Because the reason it's funny is because we've all seen that.
We know
those Robert Morris.
We know those people.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. There was a guy, same church I worked at in Kenosha. You know what? I'm going to name names because he got arrested and it's public information. His name was Gabe Mills or Gabriel Mills, if you want to Google him. I have never, as an adult, there's 2 instances in which I've almost fought another human being. Like, I fought in high school. That was whatever. I was angsty. I was doing my martial arts shenanigans. I was always ready to fight. As an adult, first situation, which, Tessa, if you do listen to this episode, this was the Circus Survive concert that you didn't go to because you were sick. Me and my friend were at Circus Survive right after they dropped their album Blue Sky Noise.
I have that on vinyl right now. Yeah.
It's so good. I have it on vinyl too. So they go through the first 3 songs. It's flawless. Best sound mix I've ever heard in my life to this day. House of Blues, Chicago. I hear commotion behind me during the second song. I turn around and it's my friend and this other dude. They're in an altercation. I get in between them and I'm like, what's going on? And this man's like, he won't stop touching me. And I'm like holding him back and I'm like, sir, Anthony Green is as close to me as this computer monitor is. It's like we are in the front at the House of Blues on a sold out show. My friend's like, you're at a concert, everybody's touching you. long story short, the guy kept having like messing with us and body checking, and then he elbowed me in the eye, and then I punched him in the back of the head. Don't punch
Nice.
people in the skull. It's a bad idea. It's solid bone. You hurt your hand.
No cares
then I
about the
told him-
people. Don't hurt your
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Get
I
a
told
blunt
him like
object.
if he touched me again, we'd have a problem. And then he swung at me, and then some big old dude literally like teleported into there and grabbed him by the back of the shirt and like dragged him out of the crowd. The funny part was he turned because he got grabbed to like swing at the guy, and halfway through his swing, he saw how big the man was, and this man was big, like not fat big, like muscle big, and he stopped swinging because he was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna die." And the best part was his girlfriend was with him the whole time. She's like, "Stop, leave him alone, stop."
Oh,
It was a very
God.
odd experience. I digress. Tangent. My ADHD meds have definitely worn off. The other person I was fault was this man, Gabriel Mills. I have never interacted with a more disrespectful adult in my
Mhm.
life. I not only have I almost thrown hands at him, I saw at least 2 other people throw hands at him. One of them, though, was a pastor who we worked with at Grace, Tim Lichty, who hired me, who had emotional regulation issues.
You know,
So I
I've
don't know
heard
if that
that guy
necessarily
was a
counts.
pretty great pastor, honestly.
Oh yeah, so great, so
I've
great.
only heard good things about that pastor.
I mean, he threatened to fire me 3 times for things that weren't my fault or not issues at all. Like the time I took a 2-day trip to Tennessee on my 2 off days, and he threatened to fire me because I went to Tennessee without telling him, and I'm like,
Mhm, mhm.
I'm not working. He's like, well, we're gonna have to reevaluate your employment when you return. I'm like, okay. I didn't get fired, by the way, but because that place would have literally fallen apart at that point. But anyways, this man, he had so many character issues. He had short temper. He would lash out at people. He treated people disrespectfully. He was over the ministry college, which the ministry college's retention rate for students who graduate from the ministry college and stay in church, well, it's about 20%. So I'm like, clearly something's not going on well here for if this is like your goal. And I remember one of the students interned under my sister. It was her senior year, and my sister's teaching because it was a church and a school. So my sister was over a lot of school stuff, and I did tech on both sides. So I'm over there doing tech, and so the intern's sitting in the audio booth with me, and this is for the elementary students. And my sister's like, "All right, today we're going to talk about the disciple Andrew." And literally, this intern, senior year of college, is like, "There is a disciple named Andrew." What are you learning? What are you learning? Because you're clearly not learning about the Bible if you don't know that there was a disciple named Andrew.
Listen, they think that the disciples were Matthew, Mark, Luke, John,
Luke and John.
Acts, Romans, Corinthians,
That's
Paul and
amazing.
Peter.
Yeah.
Paul and Peter.
and Jude.
Oh, don't forget Judas because he betrayed him.
Paul
and he was
and
replaced
Saul.
by some other guy whose name we don't know.
Yep.
It was
It's-
also
it's-
Judas.
Yeah, it was Matthias for the listeners. But anyways, yeah. So like this man, so many complaints about him. When he got arrested, I talked to one of my friends who used to work there, who quit way before I did, and he was like, and his wife was like, yeah, he had a lot of issues with him. So many people had a lot of issues with him. This man got arrested for stealing nude photos of a woman off of her husband's phone.
Wait. Was this recent?
This was recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah,
saw
I
the
yeah.
saw
article.
this on Instagram, dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you did. Yes.
Yes, you
Holy
did.
shit. I
I-
follow that account where it's
Yeah.
like, dude, following that account, it was
The Royce report?
Yes.
Yep. No, I worked with that guy.
Bro.
I know him. I know him personally. He never liked me, but that's not the point. Yeah, and I found some other articles because I had to go back through all the details, and I had some
Mhm.
inside knowledge because I still got connections. He went through over 1,000 text messages, is what the wife said, to find those photos.
Holy shit.
And then after he posted bail, he had his arraignment, whatever. After his arraignment, he got rearrested on 10 additional charges.
Yeah.
How
Or
many years
former-
is he facing?
I haven't seen him in the news since then. I was actually literally talking to somebody the other day about how I need to look it up. But that was he stole either from an employee or like an employee's partner. He accessed their iMessages through a computer. And I'm pretty sure I know who it is. But I'm like, that's that's
He's
just
going around stealing people's nudes
yeah.
that they're sending to their partners. Dude, that is crazy. He's gonna spend a lot of time behind bars, and he's gonna get killed.
Like, and
We can only
and the
hope.
crazy thing is the church's response
Always.
miserable.
Always
Miserable.
is.
Yeah.
You know, they said that
100%
like, oh, we're gonna cooperate with the authorities and
Yeah.
whatnot. Reports are like they're not cooperating with the
Nope.
authorities. And in a similar fashion, in 2020, there was a coach who was accused of sexual misconduct. They weren't
Par
honest
for the
about it.
course. Sorry.
Um,
Just
An employee who was on her way out, she accessed all of the board meeting records and found evidence of the victim claimed she met with the board and all this stuff happened. And they're like, that doesn't sound right. Was what a lot of people are saying. And the employee was like, oh yeah, that happened. And she's like, I've got proof of it because I have access to all these records. And they told us to not talk to the media. And ultimately what
Oh my
happened
God.
was they chose to not renew his contract. So he was never
Yeah.
fired. They just swept it under the rug.
Yo.
And the thing was, at this same point in time, someone else at that school was fired who I really cared about. And they were fired not because they did anything wrong, but because it could appear to be wrong. And they were forced to resign and sign an NDA.
Dude, the hypocrisy makes no sense. And I'm sure we've all seen the videos from like Josh Howerton, who's like that mega church pastor in Texas, who's like, I'm gonna tell oh my God, he's been accused of, or he's been found guilty of plagiarism. Like he like the dude is just charismatic and handsome, and he's good on camera, but he's full of shit. He'll be like, he'll do the whole asshole thing where he's like, it's very patronizing because people are always talking about, man, I worked for a mega church pastor and here's what happened. And they're like spilling the tea as people should be. And then he responds with this super snarky video that went viral. And Tim from the New Evangelicals did a great response. But he's like, I've worked for a mega church pastor for 10 years. And here's some things that they'll never tell you, which, by the way, he is a mega church pastor and he won't disclose his salary, but it's estimated to be around $300,000 to $400,000 a year, just to say. So, and he's like, people leave their church and break their heart, but they still pray for them all the time. And he goes down the list of like, he sets it up like a little bait and switch to make you think he's gonna talk bad, but then he just defends, doubles down. That's so common, man. Like I play drums at Hillsong Dallas. I'll just leave it at that. Like this stuff happens everywhere, dude. Anyways,
I think that that's kind of like one of the things, like so many people who are unaware, they look at people like leaving and being bitter towards the church and deconstructing and like, oh, you're deconstructing because you're hurt. And it's like, and
like,
I
so
feel like I
what?
probably
like,
I
why
used-
not?
First off, who cares? Yeah.
I used to look at things the same way, but now I'm just like, but that hurt precipitates people really examining the system and being like, hey, there's blatant hypocrisy and there's pastors aren't held to the standards that congregants are had. Like I remember in that church I mentioned, the black church I grew up in, this woman had premarital sex. She got pregnant. She had to come in front of the church and apologize.
Oh my
to
gosh.
the church.
That has happened at a few of the churches I've been to.
And
it's
in my youth,
unacceptable.
That's horrific.
And in my youth, I did not understand how bad it was. But like the fact that her family stayed through that, and like, I mean, maybe that was a condition of them staying. But I'm like, now as an adult, I look back at that. She was 17.
Jesus.
Like how traumatic. Because she's like, when you're 8, that she seems like she's super old, but like she's 17 years old. That's just a kid, man.
She's not even legal. She's
like
17.
That's so traumatic of an experience. And to justify that because like, oh, well, she sinned or whatever. It's like, man, I was like, I think the bigger sin is I think your bigger sin is your arrogance.
You are creepy for caring.
Dude, there's a lot of,
she's a kid. She made a mistake, sure. But you are making her get up on stage and tell her story to strangers. She doesn't know any of those people.
You know what makes me so fucking mad about this? It's like this whole what really started clicking for me when deconstruction, like for me, started hitting was that I would see these examples of like this is public shaming. And like literally
Yeah.
you can go to the Bible and see how Jesus with a woman caught in adultery did the exact opposite. The exact opposite of this. And like, what are we doing?
Dude, to your point, like people are not deconstructing and leaving the church because they don't like the church or because you didn't teach them well. They're leaving the church. They learned, they read the teachings of Christ, and they're watching your Christian nationalism being at complete odds with the teachings of Christ. So they're saying, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't go to church. I haven't gone to church in a long time. And I feel more spiritually sound, more mentally healthy than I've been ever than when I was at church. My worldview has opened up. I've made space for other people's perspective.
Yeah.
I've really put the work in to not be a hubristic asshole. I think that shit matters.
Before we move on, I'm a writer. I'm sure you guys are aware of that, Corbett. You may not be. But
I think I knew that, yeah.
One of the poems I wrote recently was about that, like what radicalized me. And that was the whole poem. Like the thing that radicalized me was Jesus. Like the thing you guys taught me, everything, like I followed Jesus right out at the door of your church.
Mm-hmm.
I was baptized in pepper spray. Like,
damn. Dude, I actually wrote something recently to get whenever it was right around the time that Trump won, and it was very clear that millions of women were about to lose their rights.
Yeah.
So I wrote this little thing. It's a love so weak that you love them to death, but when they're born, they won't drink from a breast. Forced into life, abandoned at birth. The holy rollers sleep at night, choking on mirth. Conspiratorial, focus on what if. Bigotorial, the fragrance of death. Hypocritical, don't question their texts. Dense and maniacal, a threat to our survival. If hell is real, you bought your ticket in the pew. This deep South hate is nothing new.
That's good.
I genuinely don't remember the journey that it took for us to get here, but like, were we going to talk about hell? Was that a focal point?
You set up another great segue. That was literally my next question.
Okay, wait. Well, Tim, ask your next question. Ask the question. I need some guidance. I'm a loose cannon right now.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm trying so
I got
hard
notes
not to put my input.
hell.
Man, this Zoom subscription really set us up for failure. We're going to really long.
Yeah.
What's our time?
And there's no Harley
There is
to
no
keep
time
us on
limit.
track.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, not without our Lord and Savior Harley.
Harley.
That's my wife's middle name, Jessica Harley. I love that name. Yeah. I think it's spelled different, I-E. Anyways.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about hell?
Let's get into it. I mean, I know that's something that you've been really passionate about. That was one of the things that we talked about before airing about just wanting something that you felt passionate about. So,
yeah.
What's your understanding of it? What was your first thoughts? How did it transform, and where you kind of sit on it now?
So my understanding of it, like everyone else, whether they admit it or not, is I don't know. And neither does anyone else. And if they say otherwise, they're trying to fuck with you. And they're trying to control you. I know I sound like a little punk rocker over here.
Control your mind, man.
They're trying to control your mind, man. I'm trying to control you, dude. No, but for me, it was obviously when I tell you about my worldview and my upbringing, the fear of hell was a very massive, massive part of my whole worldview and my relationship with God, if you want to call it that. The thing that I was always at odds with, but I never questioned it because I was afraid, the fear aspect of it, was how can an all-powerful God, who is also all-loving, send people to hell? Why would he do that?
That has
because
always been my biggest thing.
That's the thing. And I remember having this conversation with someone before, and they're like, well, why are you painting God out to be the bad guy? And I'm like, I'm not painting him out to be any way. Yeah, I'm like, I'm literally,
he just is.
Didn't he commit genocide 6 times in the Old
Dude,
Testament?
ethnic cleansing, by definition. So when I look at hell, I'm like, the questions I had rolling around in my head is like, okay, if God's all powerful, why doesn't he just destroy hell? Because what I'm always told is hell was never originally intended for people. If God is all knowing, he would know that the creation of hell would ultimately, if it ultimately resulted in one person, a finite person who has finite understanding, experiencing infinite torment and consequence because they weren't able to solve the mysteries of the world, like they maybe didn't buy into the absolute unbelievable, hard to buy. Like, it's not a normal thing to be like, yeah, I believe that dude died and rose again, but that's a prerequisite for not burning eternally. Like, in a way, is that not kind of like setting up the majority of people who will ever be created to burn eternally, especially
Literally.
knowing that
1000%.
dude, the
The math
only
doesn't
reason
math.
any of no, the math doesn't math. The only reason any of us even believe what we believe is because, first off, we weren't born in India, we weren't born in China. We would be, so there's that. But then so to reconcile with that, I was like, maybe I believe in more of an annihilationist view, which is asserting that God will destroy the wicked doers, people like Hitler, fucking Donald Trump, like people who've done Netanyahu, people who've committed war crimes.
Yeah.
But like, by that definition, people who have done absolute unacceptable things, child molesters, murderers, all this stuff. Maybe when they die, they just cease to exist. Maybe I'm okay with that. But honestly, the more I thought about it, it was just a house of cards that fell in on itself, because I'm like, even then, if God is all loving, why and if we're told all things will be restored back to him, like, I just don't buy it. I call bullshit.
One of the things
on hell.
One of the things that really got me, and it was like I didn't listen to anything he said until after I had already started my own deconstruction journey, but Ricky Gervais. Like,
yeah, dude.
when you die and you get to heaven, what's the first thing you're going to ask if God is real? He's like, bone cancer in kids.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like, what the fuck?
Why?
Dude. If you're all powerful, and that was my thing with God. Like, he is either evil because he allows these things to happen. He may not cause them, but if he's all powerful, he allows them to happen. Or
he's not all powerful.
He's not all powerful and therefore not worthy of worship.
And that's or hell doesn't exist and we are. So like to go to that point, when we look at I've got notes. When we look at, so like, and this took me to the next level of not believing that the Bible was inerrant, which was the most liberating experience of my life.
I figured that out really young, and I'm so thankful I did.
Good for you.
It was Bible college for me, actually, which is wild. I'm going to say Bible college in 2007.
Damn, dude.
That killed inerrancy for
Bible
me.
college when I really leaned into it, but when I was a kid, I thought of it as a joke because there's a section in Exodus that says Moses, the most humble of all Israelites. But if you know your biblical history, according to the church, Moses wrote Exodus. So you can't say I'm the most humble and be the most humble.
It's like saying, have you read my new book, 10 ways to unlock your peak humility and how I did it in 2? It's like, it's that kind of
exactly. That's exactly what it was. And as a kid, I was always like, haha, that's funny. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, so something's wrong with the Bible.
Well, okay, here's the crazy thing. Like, as a kid, I asked a lot of the questions that I started asking as an adult. Like, I was a very intuitive kid. But like, one of the questions was related to that was like, well, how did Moses write about after he died? Because my parents really pushed reading the Bible. And the problem was I read the Bible.
Yeah.
I still read. I'm an insane reader. Like, the rate at which I read is unreasonable. And I blame it entirely on my unmedicated ADHD that I had for 34, 5 years, whatever.
Shout out to neurodivergency.
But
as a result, it's like, because I remember asking questions and being like, oh, well, and I get these like half answers because they weren't able to answer them because, you got to hold to this premise of inerrancy or God being right or whatever. But like, I'm like, okay, so I'm like, because like one of my big questions as a kid was like, okay, so like God floods the earth to like, wipe everybody out. I'm like, why didn't he just talk to them? Like, if God came down and was like, hey, hey, I'm God. You guys are really, really fucking up over here. I think that most people would be like, ooh,
We should
hey,
stop.
hey, this is a deity, especially in that period of time. Like, we are 100% reorienting our lives. Like it's like you just gotta have a conversation versus murder. Or all the pastors are like, oh, make sure you kill all the women and children too.
And their
And
animals.
this, and
The
their
cows,
animals.
the pigs, the goats, everything.
And then when you
That's
don't kill
ethnic
all of their
cleansing.
animals, we're going to kill you instead. Like that, even like as like an 8-year-old, for me, I'm like, yo, this isn't good. And so the only answer that you get out of that is if God is good, if God is anything like the picture of God that we are told exists in evangelical America, that can't be an accurate representation of God.
Yeah.
Which
There's too many contradictions.
on any level of Christianity that I've had throughout my life, no, I've never believed that. Like you can't believe that God is sending his son to die to save the world, which that's a whole other issue that we're going to have on, I don't know, maybe we'll do part 2, but that's a whole other issue that we should really talk about in depth. But like God sending the sacrifice to save the world versus, yeah, you didn't do this ritual right, so boom, you're dead. Like, no, that doesn't track. That doesn't make sense. That's not good, no matter which way you cut it. Like that is,
Dude.
Yeah.
it's wrong.
And people always talk about God doesn't change, culture changes, but God does change. Like if you look at Old Testament versus New Testament,
all the time. God
Dude,
changed
it's
his mind.
all
God
the
was
time.
persuaded. Like, you know,
Yeah, there's so
And-
much of that. And dude,
I used to like that was one of my logical fallacies with Christianity, and I used to justify it by saying, well, the thing about God that doesn't change is that he's a God of covenant. So when he makes a covenant, he sticks to it. But then that's not even true.
God, no.
Like,
dude, I think for like, and just to be clear, like I still believe in God. I have completely redefined what I believe he is.
yes,
though.
same.
I think God is consciousness. I think that God is love. I think that we have severely misinterpreted things. And the thing we have to remember is when the Bible, like we put so much worship and idolatry onto things like the Council of Nicaea, because then it validates our worldview or the concept of inerrancy.
Yeah.
Or okay, so and I want to go into this. I want to get back on track with the hell thing. Is whenever I realized that it was more likely than not that the Bible is not a living, breathing document that magically changes to fit the culture. Therefore, it's a very convenient excuse for, well, God, that was okay at this time, but not at this time, even though God never changes, culture changes, and all these contradictions. I was like, no. I'm going to look at the teachings of Jesus Christ, the Jew who was teaching Jews 2,000 years ago, not Jesus Christ who is preaching to Americans 2,000 years later, because everything has to be about us. Gehenna. That we all know that term. So
Shalom.
Gehenna,
Or not shalom.
Gehenna is the original term that comes from the Hebrew phrase from Gehinnom, which means valley of wailing, which is a literal place in the southwest of Jerusalem where children were being sacrificed to the Ammonite god Moloch in the 10th and 7th centuries BC. So the meaning behind that, when Jesus was using that as a reference, it was a cultural reference point that the people he was talking to at that time would understand.
Yeah.
He was not talking about eternity because the concept of eternity had not even been fully developed yet.
That's like
not
if
at all.
nowadays we said, yeah, if you go down to Sin City, that's going to be a crazy time for you. And then Vegas,
5,000 years later, people
for
are
like
like,
5,000
yeah,
years
they
later,
went to hell.
there was a real place called Sin City that people went. Like,
Exactly. Like,
kinda.
so some other notes I have here, the meaning in Jewish and Christian eschatology, Gehenna is a place of punishment for those who have lived immoral lives. The imagery of the burning, so there was a physical imagery in culture at this time of burning flesh and hellfire. He was not talking about eternal conscious torment. Matter of fact, there's not. I mean, and I also don't believe that Revelations is like talking about the future. I think it's very clearly talking. It's first off, it's apocalyptic literature.
Wasn't it Nero?
It's
Yeah,
Emperor
it's talking
Nero.
about
Yep.
Nero.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nero.
Emperor Nero.
I-
666. Yeah, exactly.
I think we can do a whole entire like main segment on Revelation.
Dude.
Do
Well,
not
that-
get me started. Hold
Dude.
on. First of all, you, Corbett, should come back. We should do this because I want to talk about that, and I want to
Please.
talk about the Left Behind series.
I was
And-
gonna bring that up.
Yo,
like-
let me just say this before
Yeah.
anybody says anything else about the Left Behind series. Fuck Kirk Cameron.
Dude, for real, man. How many times did you walk in the house and your parents were there and you thought you missed the fucking rapture?
I
God,
vividly
all-
remember being 3 years old
my
at the
God.
first house we lived in Killeen. I woke up, my parents were not there because they left me in the care of my grandfather, and I wept because
you
I
missed the
thought they were
rapture.
raptured. I was 3.
Yeah.
Dude. Isn't
Dude,
that
Rapture? Yeah, Rapture and Hell Anxiety. I want a whole episode.
we need to.
We okay. Hold on.
Did we just
We-
gain a new co-host?
We need to do a part 2 and maybe a part 3 and maybe a part 4.
Okay.
We need
So-
a whole new series. We need.
We're just gonna title one episode
We're
Fuck
elevating.
Kirk Cameron.
It's called Hell's Not
Okay.
Real.
The
Fuck
next
Kirk
episode
Cameron.
is going to be Fuck Tim Leahy.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck Mark Driscoll.
Oh, don't even get me started on Mark Driscoll, man. Mark
Dude.
Driscoll. Mark
I-
Driscoll's
I
a whole
will-
new series.
I will chain you up and roll you down Mars Hill, okay? don't.
Dude. Danger. Dude, danger. Anyways, so yeah, I don't believe in hell. Anyways, back to you.
None of us
Mental
do.
health's never been better.
None of us do.
And you know what? The crazy thing is, like, I talked to someone about inerrancy recently, and they were like, their response, it was a really good friend of mine. They were like, I choose to believe the Bible's inherent because it doesn't do me any good otherwise. And I was like, that is a tragic view of the gospel.
Mhm.
That's
is
an
a
insane
tragic-
take.
Dude, it's a tragic view of the gospel. It's a very self-centered view of the gospel. And whenever you think about the teachings of Christ that are applicable today, dude,
Yeah.
oh my
What a
God,
waste.
it is like, do you have to really believe that some kind of spiritual thing happened while, like, look, even atheist scholars will admit there is more evidence than not that Jesus of Nazareth, who was a teacher and a prophet, was real and was crucified by the Romans. Do I believe that when he died on the cross, some magical thing? I don't think it matters. I believe that
It truly doesn't.
he showcased the ultimate act of love.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the gospel is about. And whenever he says the kingdom is here, he's talking about we can do the work, follow my teachings. I don't think he's saying be an asshole and like,
No.
you know,
And that was always his thing. It was like if you accept with your mouth
Severely
or
misinformed.
you accept with your heart, confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Like they're not saying you have to say the sinner's prayer, the salvation
yeah,
prayer or whatever. They're
you have
saying,
to
hey,
believe that he
you have
rose
to
from the
act
dead.
like
Yeah.
he acted.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to do the things he said. Whether
Yeah.
you believe he rose from the dead or not is irrelevant. That was never part of it. You need to be like Christ on earth. And he
Yeah.
healed people. He showed love. He hung out with the sinners. He fed people. He
for free.
did
Didn't
a
tax 'em.
socialism.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
did a whole socialism the entire 3 years of his ministry.
Well,
For sure.
and what I think too in this whole conversation, and we should probably redirect in a second here, but
Yeah.
what I think I love about the gospel, even still today, being on this side of deconstruction, and to be completely honest with myself, I don't know a lot of the things that I personally believe. But one of the
And
things
that's
that I
okay.
yeah, for sure. Oh, and I'm okay with that. Like that's actually one of the things I'm absolutely cool with. Is not knowing shit about what I know. Was that epistemology?
If I don't know
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
If I know one thing, it's
If I
that
know one thing,
know
is I don't know
Yeah.
anything.
But one of the things I do still connect to and love to and have a great adoration for is how much the gospel and what Jesus' message is. It's a message about the marginalized. It's a message about those who were oppressed. And obviously, as a white person, I can't personally relate to that in
Right.
America, but I think that message is so impactful and is so meaningful because it is truly is about what can we do while under oppression? What can we do when the whole world is literally on top of us? And so what I hold to when it comes to the gospel, when it comes to the Bible, is how can I be not on the oppressive side of this story?
Yeah.
How can I not be like the Romans? How can I not be like the Pharisees? How can I not be like the people who held all the power? And even in a meta way, how can I be like not the people who wrote the Bible in a certain extent?
Yeah.
And that whole message to me is we can use what we're given to love our neighbor and to love the people around us.
I don't know if you guys watched The Daily Show, but since Trevor Noah left, they've had random hosts like just doing the episodes.
Jordan Klepper.
Jordan Klepper's great. I love how he messes with the Trump supporters at the rallies.
He's great.
But Charlemagne the God was on earlier.
Oh, shoot.
And he was like, let me say something specifically to Donald Trump. Just don't be a fascist. It's super easy. Watch. I'm going to do it right now.
Oh, I watched it the other day.
I'm going to do it right now.
And look, I'm still doing it. That's how easy it is.
Just don't. Oh, and Tim, to your point, like not being all those things, what is that being like? That's being like Christ.
Yeah,
exactly. He was anti-empire.
Yeah.
And dude, if you look at the parallels, it's like, holy shit, the American church very clearly, especially the like Christian nationalist, like hyper Donald Trump supporters, that is very pharisaical.
Yeah.
And America is the fucking Roman Empire, dude.
1000%.
And dude, when you look at like even these people, like there's a fascinating overlap in the Venn diagram. And this might be where we're going next. Conspiracy theories? Is that what's next?
We can get there for sure sometime.
Okay. We can
we'll put in the docket.
I'll just be really quick here. So it makes sense. I've been thinking a lot about this because over the past few years, you've got there's a staggering correlation in this Venn diagram, or this astigmatism circle, or whatever you want to call it, of Christian. Yeah.
The
just
one
a really
circle.
thick circle. Yeah, this is a thicker circle. Yeah. Because you remember the thing that every evangelical believes to their core is that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Everything there's an imaginary, or not imaginary, I'm not trying to sound condescending, an invisible, unquantifiable spiritual battle happening around us at all times. And there are angels posted around us to protect us from the demons. And the world is going to end, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So who gives a fuck about the climate? Because it's not for us anyways, because the earth's going to be restored by God, and all this like, stuff that the further you get away from it, the more you're like, this is kind of wacky and all unquantifiable. So then why is there such an overlap between them and conspiratorial thinking? Dude, they are ripe for the picking. They are so gullible and anti-science, really, anti-facts. And dude, facts don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your
Okay, Ben
feelings.
Shapiro.
What'd you say?
That's something
It's
Ben Shapiro knows very well.
Right,
But
but I'm
refuses to
saying-
accept when it's against him.
Yeah, but like real facts, real science, like actual, like quantifiable scientific method, repeatable success, like the things that have like gotten us to the moon, whether you believe it or not, or the things that, like measurable things, math, the language of the universe. Whenever you look at that kind of stuff and you have, and I'm not trying to shit on people who, because like, I'll be real with you. I'll watch, what is that, like Sunday Cool with Ninjas or Butterflies or whatever. It's like a really funny thing. They talk a lot about stuff like the red heifer and like all the crazy stuff, but it's entertaining. But I take that shit with a grain of salt. I don't think that, like, I watch it for entertainment.
Yeah.
But there is people who are like, oh my God.
They believe it.
I just look.
There's
like,
a cult for that.
Dude, there's like a video, or like a good thing is like whenever the eclipse came by and it like went over 3 cities named Nineveh.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh! Except they weren't even really named Nineveh. Like, oh my gosh!
Dude,
I recommend looking up Dan McClellan's
Dan
video on
McClellan.
that.
I follow Dan McClellan, all of them. But yeah, dude, that same solar eclipse happens everywhere in the Earth every 18 months. But whenever it goes over America, it's a sign of the apocalypse.
Yep.
Because we're so fucking self-centered. And our Western way of thinking is so backwards. So yeah, there's a really interesting correlation between like, well, I believe that Revelation is a future prophecy. So that's already kind of, you're primed and ready to be ready to see like, oh man, aliens are coming out of the water, which is crazy. Aliens live in our ocean. Maybe that's the great beast.
Yep.
But you know what?
No, wait. So related to that, I do have a friend who is, I say friend loosely. We haven't talked in probably like 6 or 7 years.
I know a guy.
He is very conspiracy theory minded, and I still follow him on Instagram. And so I know what all of the super out there conspiracies are, which is one of the reasons why I still follow him. But like, the aliens are talking about aliens a lot because, when the aliens finally show up, they are demons. They're demons. Like
demons and angels.
Listen, I would be up to date on all those conspiracy theories if I open my mom's Facebook messages.
Dude, that's rough. I'm not gonna say it is or it isn't because I don't know. And I think that's about as far as it like should be. Like I don't have the I always go back to this. I don't ever want to have the level of hubris where I say it is or it isn't, because I'm gonna let the data lead me. Dan McClellan, data over dogma.
Yeah,
like
buddy.
let's go. And I mean, but you know what's really strange? What is it? Revelation 13:4, I think. Hold on.
Are you about to quote scripture on this podcast?
Please do.
And they, dude. Okay.
No, but honestly, we really should quote more scripture when we're talking about this stuff, because we do know our stuff. Yeah. And if people want to come in here and say like we don't know what we're talking about,
Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec, when he goes to like Lowe's or whatever it was, and the guy's like, "Hey, need any help with the project? I know more than you."
Okay. Tell me if you believed that Revelation was about now, because we're in the end times.
I did when I was in the church. I did.
I mean, I had that point in time too, for sure.
So let's say you believe that now. Yeah, I'm getting hot. Flames of hell, because I'm a fucking favorite heretic over here, dude. I feel like I should change my Instagram to your favorite heretic. But no. Tell me if this like sounds like anything that's happened recently, which I don't think this is about the future, but the point that I'm trying to make is they will interpret things as they want, as long as it does not strip away their power consolidation or their political base. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth to speak great things and blasphemies.
The best
and power was given. Wait, did I say it?
No. He was just
these are great things, the best things. Nobody's heard better things.
The bigly things. So yeah, we're tracking. To great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. I swear to God, if Donald Trump actually only serves 40 and 2 months, I'm going to be like, I actually do believe that this is about now.
Yo, the Antichrist.
You cannot convince them that stuff is about him unless it's positive.
Exactly. The Antichrist parallels though are wild. Like after the assassination attempt,
dude.
Which here's the thing, I saw some stuff his first presidency, and I was like, these are just like crazy coincidences. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like everyone knows me, I'm not. Yeah. But like, I'm like, if I was,
y'all don't remember the assassination attempt in Left Behind?
Oh yeah.
Against the Antichrist,
actually.
And he's best buddies with Neuralink, homeboy. What is it, like Elon?
Yeah, like
Mark of the Beast.
The hypocrisy,
dude,
is so insane.
Yeah,
I know.
Because they'll tell you like, oh, it says in the Bible that the most select will be confused. But you guys think you're the smartest ones here, so
dude, cherry picking, man. You gotta
who's the most select that's being deceived? Like, what is happening right now?
Okay. So we're gonna take a pause here because I love all these conversations, and genuinely and honestly would listen to these like 5 times over, and I will. But we did a little talking behind this episode a little bit, and we're going to come back for part 2 because I think we all love this, and I think we're all itching for this.
At least a part 2.
And
y'all might get another 6-episode series.
And
17.
Corbett is on board, and so Corbett, dude, we're gonna love to have you on for part 2 for this. So
Thanks for having me.
dude. So stoked. Before you go, you want to join us for one fan question?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right. One fan question, and we have a question from Kira's, or not Kira, Janelle's best friend, Kira.
Who?
Who?
I actually know Kira. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
What a small world. Who would have thought? She asked, this is a good one, actually. How much money would it take for you to willingly give up one of your senses?
Which sense?
Exactly.
Do you get to choose?
Do I
Yeah.
get to pick or do you get to pick?
No, you get to choose which sense and how much.
Is anxiety a sense? Because I don't want that.
Yeah.
I call that my spider sense.
Yeah. Oh my
I'd
god.
gladly give that up for $1.
Yeah, I give that up for free.
I'll
let
pay
me
you
think.
to take it.
I thought about it because
Damn,
like I'm
that's
already going
tough.
deaf, so I'm like, I might as well use that one and get paid for it, right?
Sense of smell.
No.
I would give up my
Smell.
sense of smell. And
That would
is it
affect
like
your taste.
is it the least amount of money that I would take for it?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like,
Or do I get to pick the amount of money?
I was really thinking about this. Like, how much could I benefit from this?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I think it's like how much would it take?
Yeah.
Which is probably gonna be like what would you sell your
It's up there.
senses away for? Yeah, it would
For
have
sure.
to be.
millions.
I like to smell. Yeah.
But
I think, yeah.
But like taste, like I can make some money off of it and get healthy because like no more like having tasting problems. Like I just drink whatever water and eat whatever I need to, and then I don't have to worry about anything else.
I love food though.
I mean, I
Yeah,
do too.
That's
but,
my
like,
thing. Like, I'm not worried about the negative health benefits. I'm worried about like my wife is a chef, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
dude, for
something
you,
to
that
lose
would
for
be-
that.
That
I
would
would
be
have
the
to say
worst.
smell. Smell would have to go.
No.
It's for me. It's like I could
Smell
do smell
for sure.
So
Oh yeah.
I would get really in my head. I was like, do I have bad breath? Do I have body odor? I would be really
Oh man, I'm just,
freaked out
I'm
all the
just,
time.
You
I'm
gotta
just,
get
Just
some
shower
I'll just be
and-
neurotic about it.
Yeah,
I'll be like
just
mouthwash in my car.
constantly.
Every time you
Yeah.
leave the house and every time you come home, ask Jessica to check.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would just be scoping all the time, taking some scopes and go. Yeah, we'll just call it a chill $250 million. No, I'm kidding.
You're like an old black man with Altoids in your pocket at all times.
Amazing. No, I would go smell, and it would have to be like at least, I don't know, dude, at least like $10-15 million.
Yeah, I was
It'd
thinking
have to be like a
something.
lot
Smell
of
for 10 million.
Maybe I'm just,
Yeah.
wow, I don't have much value for
Are
my
you
senses.
cheap?
I was thinking like maybe like 200,000 maybe.
Tim's
Oh my
$20.
God.
Tim said $20. You can take it.
Can I ask an inappropriate question to you right now?
Of
You might
course.
have to edit this out.
Go
How much
for
would
it.
you suck a dick for?
Oh my god.
Less than you would think.
Well, no, that question doesn't make sense because it makes it seem like, yeah, less than you think. What is the lowest amount of money you would blow Chris for? You know him. You know it's
I think that
Probably
makes
real
it
nice.
worse.
Yeah, that is worse.
Ah.
I would do a stranger over
I mean,
Chris any day.
let's be
Stranger, but then
honest.
you gotta worry about
I'm a generous
disease.
lover. You would enjoy it.
that's what,
I mean, it wouldn't take much, I don't think.
1,000.
Oh man, I
500?
got to be mid six figures at the very least.
I don't know.
But, like if we're dividing the money, then I mean, like hell.
No.
whatever.
This all goes to you. He's getting a BJ out of it. Now he's already getting paid.
So whatever you're getting, you're also getting an extra $20.
Yeah,
So if you say like 5,000, it's $5,020. That's what you're
that
getting.
makes sense. That checks out.
$20 is $20.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would charge. Is it weird that I would charge less for that than I would to lose a sense?
No, I don't think so at all.
No,
So we're
because
keeping
one's
this
a
in. I'm
one-time
editing this
experience
out.
and one is like
yeah,
life.
That's a one-time experience.
Lose my sense of smell for $15 million and charge you $15 million for a BJ and it would to give you a BJ and it wouldn't be as big of a deal because I can't taste.
Oh, brilliant.
Solid.
Yeah.
There you go, Kira. There's your answer.
Mm.
She didn't
There
know
you
what she
go.
was signing up for when she asked that.
He's like, oh my God.
She's
You
going to be
guys
like,
are
oh, yeah, I
vile."
do know Corbett. Oh, my God. Maybe I
He's
don't know
changed.
Corbett.
Yeah. Oh my God. Just as I remembered him. Horrible.
Oh, man, that's good.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, hey, but that's it. We're ending our show there because we went on for a long thing, and I'm going to keep everything in because I loved it all. I might get rid of Chris's like a few things, but other than
Wow. Guess I'll go fuck myself.
that, yeah, I got
You
that
can
for you,
remove
buddy.
that.
$15 million to watch.
Oh Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Well, hey, let's wrap this show up because we got a part 2 coming out, and we got a great stuff to look forward to. So again, thank you all again for listening to this podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a rating on your favorite podcast platform, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Always More Pod. Corbett, dude, thank you so freaking much for joining us for this episode. We're really excited to have you back for part 2. Share anything about you, your life, anything that you want to, if it's social media or whatever. This is your spot, man.
Dude, I love you guys so much. Justin, so good to meet you. I feel like I've known you just as long as these guys. I've actually been wanting to do this since y'all opened it, and I was never going to invite myself, but we are like-minded, like-hearted people, and it's really cool to see this kind of deconstruction community, because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to say some of this stuff. So thanks for making this a space where you could hear my heart in a judgment-free zone without telling me I'm going to go to hell, because I don't believe in it. So
We would never tell you because we don't either.
We don't either.
there you go.
All right. You want to share any socials, or are you good?
Yeah. Corbett, CORBETTOH, like Corbett O on Instagram. And if you want to go to my Facebook and support my fight against Christian nationalism, just Corbett Hoxworth. I'll accept your invite.
Dope. Justin, where can we find you, bro?
I am Justin is Theory, literally everywhere. Instagram, Threads, I guess.
Oh yeah.
X. I don't use X, but technically I'm still there. Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Steam,
Grindr,
everywhere.
just all of them.
Not that one. Not that one.
My bad.
We've talked about it in the past. He won't get one.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Be more open-minded.
It's not.
Are you
my
afraid
job.
you're going to go to hell, Gehenna?
Are you afraid to
No.
make $15 million? That's the real question.
No, I'm not afraid to make
We can
$15 million.
produce some Let's turn this into a different kind of podcast.
Oh gosh.
Chris, where can we find you?
I am on Instagram as Captain_CT Ford and TikTok is Christopher.Lionheart.
All right, and then you can find me on everywhere at Timothy Lichty. Thank you all again for listening and for being a part of the conversation. And remember, there is always more than this. Bye, everyone.
Love y'all.
Peace out.